There we go. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to today's... Hold on, did I mute myself on Discord? I did mute myself on Discord. It's only Xezius sitting here, hot micing it seems. Anyway, so I managed to be able to join the roundtable this week, and we're gonna talk about both the new squadrons, the new mining implementations, and also the two new ships that were announced yesterday during Frontier's livestream, of course being the Mamba, the Phantom. As usual, when I do these roundtables, I'll not be able to reply to as many of you in chat as I normally do on my live streams. So if it's not because I'm not reading chat, but I'll probably not be able to reply if you ask questions during the live stream. But we can have a little chat after the roundtable, which normally lasts about 2 hours. And while we're doing that, I'm just gonna go in, gonna do a quick refit of my mining cutter, just to see if the maneuverability is so bad as I think it's gonna be. If it turns out it's completely horrible, I might head back and do a refit, thinking of doing an Anaconda. To get a little bit more maneuverability out of it, but anyway, I'm basically just going to be running around doing some mining here in the background while we are talking. So, without further ado, I'm going to get the rest of the guys online on Discord, see if they, I can see loads of them are still not done with their pre-streams, but let's see what happens.
I mean, I will say it's been really nice in this one. I said, you know, like I was teaching.
There we are.
Hello, guys.
And I said something to her that it's so nice that there's so much just new little stuff now that Elite's never felt more alive to me, right? In terms of just all the little stuff that's around now. And sorry, does that mean we're live with you guys?
With
yes.
me now, yes.
Okay, great.
Me
so we're
as
just
well.
for
So.
DJ.
Aha.
I guess I'll
Once
join
more.
the party as well.
Once more,
Okay,
we're
so
waiting
I've
for
joined the
DJ.
party as well. Wait, once again, we are waiting for DJ. He's 1 minute over, right?
Always DJ.
And yeah, Rick, we
Yes.
actually were just talking about Hazrez's gone, not gone kind of thing. While we're waiting for DJ, Proxim, you guys have any thoughts there? I'm thinking that as they, you know,
Why would
if
they?
it sticks the way it is now, we'll start using like installations and things like that. That's what Yamix and I were saying when you guys came back.
For what
Pretty
PvE?
much.
Is that combat?
For just bounty hunting.
I was actually
where
thinking.
Are we gonna bounty hunt now?
No, I'm thinking the new not new, but the pirate activities.
Beacons.
Yeah.
But that's a
Yeah.
high-end one.
Yeah, but that
what
is
about
pretty
low
high
end?
right?
What about
I
low
don't know.
end?
Supposedly, the resource sites are a quote-unquote bug that they should be there, but they're just not. So, I don't know.
Okay. So I'm guessing they're going to be maybe diminished some. It would make sense with the new mechanics, right? But at the same time, I also don't see why they have to end. You know, like the new mechanic doesn't mean that, you know, we can't have resource extraction sites anymore, right?
Yeah, see, they're supposed, like, the sites are supposed to be there, but for some reason, they're just not spawning the way they should. So,
I
we'll
thought
see.
these were static.
Well, they were static, but it used to just generate them on entry every time. Either that or else
Okay.
maybe they're changing the location of them a little bit so it spawns in more dynamically. I don't know.
That's pretty dumb.
Regardless,
Okay.
they've said it's in the known issues that they're supposed to be there, but they're just not showing up.
Hmm.
Okay.
But even if they were
That's-
if they were coming back, I would still consider going to the pirate activity zones.
Oh, sure. But I think to Yamix's
You know, what
point
about
maybe is that
yeah,
they're
what
too,
about
they're,
new
they're just too
players,
difficult.
right?
Exactly. They're just too
yeah.
difficult.
You know, somebody that's not so much adepter
Yeah.
than everyone else. You know,
Good
how about
evening.
those people.
You're live on the
Hey, there it
internet.
is.
You're live on the internet. Please don't swear.
The interwebs.
Shit,
Yeah.
piss, tits, dick, ass, cunt, and what
Every-
else?
Excellent.
Bitch.
And I was just
And
reminding
we are
my
all
chat
demonetized. Wonderful.
and I was just reminding my chat that we have alerts turned off for the evening because it's the creators roundtable, so they're all muted. They won't make any noises for the evening. That's the same across all the streams because obviously we just do that to be polite. And I totally don't bring this up each week to make sure that we all remember to go click and go and do it because we all
Yeah,
forget,
myself
let's be
too.
honest.
I remember that. I remembered this week, so it's all good.
I did as well, man. I actually remembered this week. I was so proud of myself.
Very nice.
Yes, pat on the back.
Yeah, right.
And everybody has
Yes,
their
yes.
everybody has their overlays on that has the ability for overlay today. Just for
Indeed,
everybody.
yeah.
Yes.
Overlay
I
is
think
on. I'm
so.
actually making it a bit larger at the moment. So
Well, guys, welcome everybody. I'm gonna kind of do a little bit of what I did last week, and just kind of keep us on topic. We have a little more open format today, in that it didn't break
I'm
out into
gonna
as many
just
kind of
rant
sub features.
everywhere,
Yeah, I
so
mean, I'm
somebody
gonna
just stop me.
try exactly. We have a little bit of structure to keep just the total out there stuff. But we're obviously going to talk about mining. That's what I'm doing in the stream right now. I assume that's what everybody's doing. I already had a
I'm
couple
trying to find
comments.
something to explode. So
Yeah, okay.
that's
A
about it.
couple of people on my comments already were like, "Oh my god, another mining stream!" Like, yes, unfortunately, another one.
mean-
So we're gonna do mining. We're gonna also talk about squadrons. Kind of our thoughts on what we've gotten, what's obviously not working, what we look for. The new ships. If you guys, the best kept, worst kept secrets, the Mamba and the Crate Phantom. The Mamba was released yesterday. And both of them have their specs out now, correct? They're both in ED Shipyard beta. I
They're
believe that's
they're apparently in Coriolis now too.
okay. Gotcha. So the specs are there. I'll save
I
that.
wouldn't trust those specs at all.
Fair enough. No. Fair enough. Right. And definitely take them with a grain of salt. But we're getting some ideas now. And then we'll talk about what's coming in beta next. Maybe I made a joke about this last week. Maybe we need to figure out the best, or see if we want to do a little pool for when launch is. See what everybody's vote date for the actual launch of Chapter 4 is. I don't know, some kind of competition or
Let's
giveaway.
speculate, folks.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We should think of
Fuck
something.
me.
We definitely should all guess a date at the end, but because we all love speculating. I know it's Yamix's favorite.
Oh, I love
right?
it so much because breeding hype is my thing, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
I love it.
So with that, why don't we talk? Why don't we? Unless Yamix, do you want to just start with a rant, or should we go to mining and let the rants just kind of
Right.
fill?
So
where they
mining.
would go? Or do you want to just take us into mining?
Yeah, right. So okay, fine. I might as well do that, even though I'm the least mining person around.
Well, so
yeah.
what I would suggest, or kind of request though, Yamix, maybe as we go through each feature, like the first little bit of mining, just talk a little bit about the new changes, right? Just give a little
a quick
bit of
okay, fine.
Exactly.
Recap. So I'm
There you
going
go.
to do the mining. Okay, so the mining wise recap is quite simple, right? Developers introduced 3 new weapons or tools or whatever else you want to call these
Utilities.
things. Tools. Let's go with tools,
Yeah.
right? With each of these new tools, you are able to extract a different or from a different size hole more materials. So imagine basically just having different size plugs in a porn set or something like that. You have the drill dildo, you have a small vibrator, and you basically have a massive power jack or something like that being inserted and whatnot else. So essentially that's what we're getting. New ways to extract material or kinds of materials, and whether or not they give more, it's they do give more technically, but how much more I didn't really fixate, so maybe someone else can tell. Anyways, so now technically you will have 3 new ways to mine ish, and because of that, 4 types of mining. Does that increase the yield? I'm still testing, but I already have some small conclusions. That aside, we get slightly upgraded looking, at least, asteroids. There are different shapes and better collision boxes for them, as well as the poly count is bigger. I have at least noticed. Let's see, mining wise, what else has changed? The rings, I suppose, have the volumetric lighting. What else is supposed to be, and that lighting is just put in there with the increase of fog, which I hate, just to showcase the fucking volumetric lighting, and I fucking hate it, but that's just me. There's the pulse scanner, the new tool that allows you to see the material density in these asteroids, as you can see, at least on my end, and probably everyone else's as well. That literally is about it on the mining. Oh, and of course, now that you probe rings, they will reveal certain material hotspots, even though it's bugged already and it doesn't showcase the visuals, but there are still the POIs or points of interest are still displayed in your selection. So I suppose that would be about it on the mining. Who wants to take the next one?
Well, no, I mean, do you want to move on and talk about each feature, Yamix, or do you want to, now that we've kind of brought everybody up to speed very quickly?
If I'm gonna start talking about the fucking results of the mining, yeah, I'm gonna go forever. So
Well, that's what I mean, but we can't, depending on what you guys
I'll
want
jump
to do.
in briefly. If
But
that's
yeah,
okay.
but we want to stay on mining. That's what I'm
Yeah,
getting
no, on
at.
mining.
Yeah,
I'll
I
jump
think,
in
and I think we
briefly.
should,
Yeah.
Yamix. Yeah, let's let somebody jump in, and then
Alright.
feel free to rant away.
I'll
right?
rant afterwards.
Well,
I'll rant
Yeah,
afterwards.
yeah. Let's do that, right? You kind of talked about from the feature mechanics. Now maybe we'll just all go through and share our experiences, rant, whatever we feel like.
Well,
And so
the
with
one
that,
thing
DJ,
I
go
will
ahead.
say, one thing I will say about mining, the mechanics are great. Yeah, I really like the mechanics. I really like the way the asteroids pop. I really like the way you go about doing that. More of it, plus that's literally like two things, and by more of it, two things. A, more of them to pop, plus they're fun. Two, more monies. Make popping them worth my while.
Oh my god.
Like
That is one thing that
I've
is
heard
definitely-
that the true irony is that you can earn more money using the old mining lasers than you can with the new tools.
That doesn't surprise me.
That's a balance issue, and balance is gonna be
As we know, Frontier is very, very capable at balancing things, as we've
Well, they
witnessed.
are when we tell them, particularly during betas. They've shown
When we
that
tell them how to balance it.
DJ, you're not making a good case for yourself there.
Right. I mean, they're terrible at it. They do listen sometimes during beta, but sadly, they're pretty terrible at balance.
We need to make sure that they realise that as things stand, they've nailed half the equation for me. Yeah, they have made mining an enjoyable activity. It just needs to actually make it worthwhile doing. Yeah, just enjoyment isn't going to be enough in a game where progress is essentially derived by credits.
Especially considering right now that to be profitable in mining and to be able to fit all the tools, you've got to have a ship that's, fairly expensive.
Oh yeah. We're talking. I mean,
That's-
I figured out a sub 100 million build crate for it, right? And and other things would work fine too. But you definitely want. You're not doing this just in a Cobra 3. Ideally anyway, with all the shit that you need.
In Cobra 3, you much rather just go with Type 6.
Oh yeah, well, yeah. I mean, that's
Yeah.
yes, you're absolutely right. But even the Type 6, this is not as well suited to this.
Yeah, the main problem I see with the way with mining now is that there's such a huge requirements on hard points now with all the new tools.
Damn it, you stole my thunder. Yep, that's what I was just about to say.
And most of the ships so now you suddenly have to find a trade-off. Do you want a lot of cargo holds so you can stay there for a long time, or do you want to skip a bit of the cargo holds to get a ship with more hard points so you can actually also maybe defend yourself just a little bit, so you don't have to run if an eagle comes by and begins shooting at you, even though you're in a
That's one
cutter.
of the problems I've got too.
And when I've been looking through the list of available ships right now, I always end up with the Anaconda. I'm currently gonna go out and test it a bit in my cutter because I have that fitted up for mining already. But I think I'm gonna end up having to build a mining Anaconda.
And see, for me, the Anaconda is a complete non-starter because I just hate that fucking bridge. Like, I just can't stand it. Right? Like, it is a complete.
Speak nasty words about the Anaconda's
It
bridge,
is a
you bully.
complete non-starter for me because of that view. So like I've been using the crate a lot just because, again, I do like the visibility of it. I would not argue that it's the best for exactly the reasons you're getting at, Astro. I think the Type 9 is probably not the right one either, is it? Because of the maneuverability that you need. Would you agree? I mean, I haven't used it yet, but I've got to think that is not the best.
Yeah, that's my main
best for
concern.
this.
That's what I wanted to mainly to test today. That is, how important is maneuverability going to be? Because I think it's going to be very important if you want to be efficient.
Absolutely.
And sure, you can fly around, you can make it work in a cutter, but if you're going to spend a lot of time just drifting around trying to to point yourself in the right direction and get yourself in the right position to fire off all those new modules we got, you might be better off going with a ship that's maybe doesn't have a good of a internal loadout, but is more maneuverable and better to handle. At the very least, I think, I can't remember what my thrusters are like on my mining ship, but at the very least, those would have to be upgraded to A-rated thrusters. Let me just check it here, actually.
Yeah.
I already have
definitely.
them A-rated. That's gonna
Oh,
be...
definitely, right? I mean, you want...
Which isn't a
obviously-
negative.
No, it's not.
The,
I mean,
the
you
fact
would want
that you're going to
in
have
a-
to load out differently for
Yeah,
mining now
and it's
isn't
not
a
at all,
negative.
right? I think it's a slight... I mean, it depends on how you look at this, right? If we're looking at this as somewhat later gameplay, mid to late gameplay, if you think of like a more standard, call it 500 hours arc, right? I think it makes sense, right? I mean, you're not going to do this your first 50 hours, but you're not going to do this your first 50 hours probably, other than it's hot and new right now, right? So I don't know that that's necessarily bad. It's both very high skill, which I think is great, or at least high mechanics. There's lots to do, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
But DJ, you nailed it on the head, which is the absolute huge problem right now is the ridiculous pay, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's so laughably absurd. It's just how could anybody even remotely think this made sense, right? Because like all of us, I've done some pay testing as well, and I think I figured out it was less than like a fifth of normal mining, like on a per asteroid kind of basis. I've done that a few times. The mechanics are great, but the rewards of it are, I mean, it's very typical Frontier.
But it's
And I
be-
believe they did say last night, didn't they, that they were looking at how much
They
this
did.
could be.
They
So
knew it was
fair,
coming.
fair play
So-
in this case.
so,
They seem to
yeah, I
be
mean,
aware of it and are looking at it.
but the way I see
But
it,
see-
Which is good.
the way I see it, I don't see
Yeah,
the
go
new
ahead, Astro.
I don't see the new mining tools as a replacement to the old. It's going to be a supplement. So the way I see it's going to work, and that's what I'm going to try out now, is you are still going to mine with the old mining lasers, and you're still going to prospect in the way you did before. But now you're going to have your pulse wave scanner, and you're going to use that to try and sort out between the asteroids, because before it was pretty much just, well, whatever was closest, that was what you were prospecting. Now you have a chance to kind of like filter out the asteroid that might not be that interesting. And then once you're mining those asteroids anyway with the normal mining lasers, if they happen to have some surface deposits, or if they happen to have some other deposits, then you can go and you can get those as well, and it will give you an little bit extra benefit. So it's not a replacement; it's an addition, as I see it.
Yeah. Okay. So when you say that, Astro, how do you mean that? Do you think that that's how we will start mining now, or do you think that's the way Frontier wants us to do this? In other words, is that how you want it to work? Do you think
No,
that's
no.
how?
I was expecting it when I heard about this. I was expecting that this new system was gonna be a complete replacement for the old mining laser. That old mining,
I guess
the old,
I kind of did too. Yeah.
yeah,
okay.
that was something you would fit on an exploration ship, so you had the opportunity to go and get a little bit of materials in case you were running out doing a long exploration trip, something like that.
Sure,
Like
sure.
some very basic mining equipment that you could use to get started into mining, and then as you moved up, you would move over to this more complicated system that would then be more profitable. But
I mean, I
it's
kind of
not.
saw it like with Thargoids, you can still hunt Thargoids, with the original AX weapons that we got when they first unlocked, but now everybody uses the Guardian stuff. I almost saw it similar to that, right? That we can continue to use the existing mining stuff, but that, if you're a seasoned miner, of course, you're not still using the original stuff. But I hear what you're saying, that it seems like we probably are, right?
The difference being that this time we don't have to grind for 1 million hours to
Oh,
unlock
thank
them.
God. Obviously.
Yeah.
That would
Oh,
not
don't
have...
even. Oh, wait.
Can you
Oh,
imagine?
That could
Yeah,
have
did you just say
happened.
that?
Holy shit! I couldn't think.
What could I have? Sorry,
I-
I missed that.
out
Oh
loud.
my God. Okay, so now the thing is, for me, I was thinking, yeah, this would make just normal sense to give weapons or new tools, out there for people to use. Normally for this sort of a game that has established that sort of thing. But then, for whatever reason, my brain just blocked out the idea of personal narrative. And now that you remind me, I'm just thinking, oh fuck, that could have actually been a thing.
Yeah, no, that. Yeah,
How
yeah.
bad that could have been.
And another thing that's really starting to bug me is, and I really hope there's changes planned for it, is the pulse wave scanner itself, right? The fact that I've got to fire it so
It's
often.
bugged as fuck, but honestly, I don't
that
mind shooting it that many
Well,
times.
what I mind about it is just how bad it looks. I mean, it's like this is like 8-bit Mario graphics, and I have to see it so often that I wind up constantly looking at this ugly ass, this ugly ass effect that I think is a real shame, because
a pretty game, or are we making an ugly shit?
well, for
That's
the
the
most
main
part, I
question,
think
isn't
the visual
I
changes
really
have
like
been very
that
nice.
aesthetic.
The aesthetic we're getting now, the
QB sort
Nintendo.
of. Yeah, I really like it.
See,
I'm
like it
gonna be
maybe
honest, I
once,
really
but
like it.
I just don't like it. To me, all of a sudden, it just makes this big field of otherwise beautiful asteroids look like a big blurry damn mess.
It doesn't fit. It has to be said, as much as I like it, it doesn't fit with the overall aesthetic of the game, does it?
I mean, that's
It
what
doesn't at
I guess
all.
exactly,
No,
right?
I think
It
that's
doesn't
the
feel like
difference.
something that would be in my actual HUD, right? I would be taking this back to the shop, going, "Hey guys, you fucked up. The focus on my HUD right here is all blurry and fucked up, right? Because nothing else on my HUD looks." I also, somebody on, I think it was on one of my videos or something, made a comment that, why is it, or maybe even somebody here last week said it, why is it that, chapter 4 is basically, chapter 4, the mini game, right? And I don't know that that's necessarily good or bad. Maybe that's, something to talk about, but there's all these new little mini games, some of which I think are decent, some of which not so much. Maybe I'm taking us off topic. Yamix, you want to go on your asteroid rant before we move on to that level of
I can rant
discussion?
forever. So, anyone else has anything to say? No.
We'll interrupt you.
But I think
I got a
it's okay.
stopwatch on you.
Okay, one
what
thing
you
I think
got,
it's
Astro?
I think it's important that we also keep in mind that this is still doing a beta test. I mean, this is
Absolutely.
that could be a. I mean, I think most of us, at least I think that the mechanics themselves when it comes to mining are pretty great. I mean, I like them.
Yes.
But
Yes.
there is a balancing pass needed, especially on the frequency of the various sites, also various deposits.
Yep. I think that what you're getting at, Astro, the good thing is the main problems, at least I have right now, are very fixable and not difficult to fix either. It's like you just said, turn the spawn rate up. Okay, that's a variable somewhere. That shouldn't be hard to do. Turn the pay up dramatically. That's just adding like a 100 or a 200 times what it is now, right, in front of the number. That should be easy.
Give the pulse wave scanner a longer time before you need to fire it again.
Yep.
Because when I was testing this last time, we were actually discussing on the stream, you're clicking that button so frequently that I was almost like closing down the game, writing myself a macro, and just set that to click that button every 5 seconds. So I don't have to sit and do it myself.
Yep, you're right. Like some sort of switch, like using auto hotkey or voice attack for a little macro that just keeps doing that every few seconds would be pretty nice.
Like night vision mode. So just when you fit the pulse wave scanner, you would be able to switch. Just as you could switch on night vision mode, you could switch on the asteroid scanner mode.
And it just stays on in that mode with the results of your last scan. Absolutely, that's what it needs to be. I mean, absolutely 100%. Right?
But again, these are all like things that maybe the switching it to a permanent thing is a little bit more, but most of the other things is just numbers that needs to be changed, and we know that and I think maybe I would understand why they would do it. I think Frontier have a tendency when they do these kind of betas to always like lowball the numbers because they don't want to give people false expectations.
Side.
So people suddenly go into the beta and wow, you can make 100 million per hour mining, and then once it goes live, it's back down to 15 or 20. And then you're gonna have a riot on your hands. So I think that they are on purpose putting the numbers low. So I hope that they're gonna do a balancing pass and boost that a little bit.
I almost wish that during that time, Astro, because I get exactly what you're saying, right? That they would rather be able to adjust if arguably way up, right, than
Mhm.
doing anything. All right. But I almost wish they would just make mining not pay at all then, right? So it's not even a question. It's just, yeah, mining's not paying right now. Just do it only for the fun and the mechanics of it. I think they would be better served by doing it that way, right? Versus everybody gets in, and now we've sat here and bitched about it for a while when we, in a way, to your point, shouldn't.
So just completely
anyway.
devaluate the
Yeah, for
price.
right now, just say, yeah, mining doesn't, of course it doesn't pay. This is beta. You're doing it for fun. You're not doing it for grind or for money or anything like that. You're
Oh.
only doing it for fun.
Wait, okay,
Then,
For the moment.
but okay,
for the moment, just for the moment. Sorry if I'm not clear. Yeah, just for the moment during the beta, we're only mining for no pay. And then right before the beta goes live, or maybe the last week of it, they turn pay on and check the balance of that, right? But at first, just leave it out, right? I mean, this is a moot point because we're already past it. Yemix, you wanna
Right,
jump in
mining.
now and
Right.
let
So
us let you
back
have your
before,
podium.
yeah. That beat that. Right. Right. Damn it, Texidius.
Sorry, did I break your
fine,
train of thought there?
Fair enough. So mining in general, obviously the changes, I guess, are interesting in some way. I don't know. Right. So the first thing that I noticed was obviously when I was mining and so on and so forth. Essentially, I had more to do. Well, obviously, because you have different styles of mining and whatnot else. But what I found myself quite often thinking was that. Most of what I do is just the old mining lasers. That's all it is. If I just go from rock to rock, I really like to use the new things way more. Fissures. Okay, fine. Those would be the big explosions, and you can't have every single one of them explode because that would completely tank the whole performance of the ring as well as other things, and also wouldn't be so precious, right? So, but still, when it comes down to something like subsurface or the surface thing, if any of you remember the LaveCon, pictures or concept things that they showcased us, those really dank-looking asteroids with materials just poking out of them, if you remember.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, why not have that?
That's actually a good
that,
point. Very good point.
Right, that would allow, first of all, you to determine which is a specific type of a rock, which is nice addition. Let's be honest, this is a game, right? Even though Elite tries to make the game more of a realistic sort of a affair, I respect that when it comes down to ships, but when it comes down to the gameplay enjoyment, the game is fucking dull. And what would change it essentially is, again, putting in more interesting, unique things, the gas clouds or those, the clouds, the new
grace clouds,
things those are a wonderful addition. And then the guardian beacons, a nice addition, so on and so forth, something that is out of this world in some way. Remember, the space is vast, it's wondrous, it's unique, and you never know what you will find in a way. That sort of a imagination can be let loose in a way. Of course, well, Elite, as I said, they try to go for a more realistic approach. When it comes to mining, putting in those rocks, why not? Why not realistic?
Make it
That
more
would
video
freshen
game.
what I don't want to see is a fucking blur and a fucking fog in my face, obscuring every single fucking thing that I'm trying to do in the game. Right? I don't like the new lighting mostly, and or rather color scheme rather than the lighting. Lighting is okay. It hasn't really changed aside from the fact that reflections are now reflecting way more, which is actually in a cutter horrible thing.
I got
If you
in the
haven't
disco
seen
ball
cutter,
of it. Yeah, I got
my
in.
God,
to see
it looks ugly.
I don't
Anyway,
know.
my
I'm in the
buddy-
cutter right now. So far, it looks fine to me.
Look behind
Whatever.
you.
That's not the point. That's not the point. The point is that mining could even incorporate a little bit of that wonder, right? Why not? But then there was that point that I tried to raise that whenever I normally mine, I'd like to push in the subsurface thing more often, way more often, as a matter of fact, the surface deposits as well. I'd like to do those more. If just those would be increased, then well, hey, why
Yeah.
not?
Yeah,
Th-
why
that
are the
would
spawn
add
rates so low?
again, yeah, that would allow you to actually go to a ring without a mining laser and actually perform that sort of a gameplay. And in a way, that would allow smaller ships also to perhaps gather specific materials that they want quicker, rather than just doing whatever everyone else is doing.
Can I ask you a
So
question, Yamix?
yes,
In your thoughts, you just said something I think was interesting. Astra kind of got to this a little bit ago. Do you think should we have? I mean, is a mining laser, the old school mining laser, just a part of mining and should still be and always should be? I think
my
Astra
answer
was
is
saying.
yes.
Okay, I think Astra was saying maybe he was thinking that now no, and I definitely was thinking I wouldn't be using mining lasers anymore. But it seems that we, for real mining, quote unquote real, I guess if you're looking for the biggest yield out
The
of an
main
asteroid,
mining, it's a main mining tool. Every other
right?
new tool is less and less used because the surface one is, I think, as much used as the subsurface, but whatever.
No,
The
definitely.
fish, yeah.
Well, I think it's the abrasion scanner is the most used. The the
Actually,
missile.
I find quite a lot more subsurfaces, but maybe
Do
that's just
you?
the way I search. But whatever, that's just my
Okay, fair enough.
experience,
Fair
and that's
enough.
just
Yeah,
me.
yeah, yeah.
I haven't kept up a tally and so on and so forth, so I can't.
Yeah, nor have I.
really
Nor have
take
I.
that.
So these are yeah.
Yeah, that's an anecdotal evidence and should not
Exactly.
be taken as real evidence. DJ. Right. Anyways, moving on then. The whole mining, right? So, the increase of obviously the new mining would be wonderful addition because that would allow mining to properly change rather than slightly change here and there just for the shits and giggles, right? Um, but my main concern, just like with few other gameplays in Elite, was the price of doing such a thing. When it comes down to it, why do we do trading? Why do we do mining in games like Elite Dangerous? In games like fucking MMOs, RuneScape would be my personal little thing because I did a lot of fucking mining in it. Also fishing, but whatever. It's to trade shit. And you have fun when the fucking results, aka reward, aka the credits you get from selling the shit or getting the shit, are appropriately
Yeah.
rewarding, if you will. So the main thing is, yeah, if there is no reward, what's the point? And the same, and right now the beta. Well, if you're doing such a long beta, developers, why not test that shit out as well? You have the opportunity, you're stalling for time, so might as well do something productive, right? But it doesn't seem that developers are really interested in that. Oddly, maybe I'm just wrong, maybe I'm not, who knows? But realistically speaking, yeah, it just requires a fucking price to be put on the, materials that are being mined and so on and so forth. And from that, there will, okay, just to put it in simplest terms, you explode a rock, what I've been doing in the stream on my end for a little while. It's beautiful, it's interesting, it's wow. Okay, after 1,000 explosion, are you still going to be that interested? Well, most of the people will just say no, really. Again, I love combat the most in this game, and yet I'm fucking bored of just killing even the Targoids, who I still consider quite an interesting sort of a way of doing things. It's just the same fucking thing goes, just that's it. And variety is the spice of life, as they say. And well, in a way, you
See, and
tend
that's
to
what rocks about PvP. Just to throw that out there.
yeah, it's yeah, fair enough, and it is interesting indeed. But yeah, when it comes down to mining, I'd say rather force a player to just go and mine one rock and quickly get the materials, or just one rock gives out a lot of materials, and then the player is able to just return and then hand in for a lot of money, so he doesn't go around searching for many rocks, meaning that that would somehow be prolonged, that the gameplay or boredom that sets in eventually. Of course, that is one way of doing the balance on what it tells. I'll leave that up to developers because I obviously am not working for them, and well, if they were, or rather, if I were to then pay me first before I give you my advice, right? I'm just being that sort of a cynical cunt. So
Well, so would you say,
yeah.
Kiamix, for you then, the same as kind of Astro said, are you just a few variables away from thinking this is...
Oh no, few variables, no.
Okay, so that's...
Well,
plenty of-
define a
again,
few variables. Like,
Well, you know, we
Yeah,
talked about like
exactly.
spawn rates and pay rates. I mean, those are easy variables. Those aren't like major gameplay changes that it, like, let's say for a second, I think Astro even said this, the effect on the rocks, that might be so much code and graphics and stuff. If
Whatever.
this is what they think is
Yeah.
great, that might be hard at this stage to change. But the
You
spawn
know,
rates
the
of
thing
these
is,
things are just
you,
spawn variables.
you are breaking up, Exegius.
Oh, my mic is?
Yeah, you're breaking up. Sorry.
Oh.
Yeah. Anyways,
should be fine.
yeah. For example, okay, let's say if I were to, balance mining, there are two general roads to go about doing things, right? Number one is, actually three ways. So number one would be giving mining a specific bonus, which honestly I find a bad idea. The second one would be increasing flat out, different, increased. Values for specific materials that are mined and what it else. Basically, again, not the bonus, but literally just increasing the price for each canister of thing that you refine. That would increase the pay, also increase the value in piracy, so both gameplays benefit in some way. And the third one would be increasing the yield, allowing players to
Definitely.
quicker, or rather mine less rocks, or maybe mine more out of these rocks as a yield. You don't need 10.
This. So much
it
this,
depends.
Yamix.
Yeah,
This is
yeah,
this for
I'm-
me is the way forward. Just increase the number of tons or whatever or units
Okay,
or whatever you want
whatever,
to
yeah,
call
the
that I get
general
out
idea
of a
is just-
rock. Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Yep.
I think is the way forward, personally.
Is everyone breaking up today, or is it me?
I think
it's
that's
not-
at your end.
I
dude.
think it's got to be
Yeah.
you, buddy, because guys on my stream
Okay.
are saying that we're all great.
Yeah,
so
everyone
Yeah.
else
Oh, okay,
is
sorry,
everyone's gravy.
that's okay. That's fine.
All right, that sorry, then that definitely has to be me. Well, I'll try to do my best.
We hear you just
right,
great. If it,
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
I
coming
think-
through fine.
yeah, it's just you hearing us, Yamik. So if you want to rant away, buddy, you go right ahead.
Right, sorry. Right. But yeah, when it comes down to increased yield, so you can do either one of the things on top of that, right? Increase the yield per material fragment, that you break off, gives, aka meaning, or i.e. meaning that you need less fragments to make a canister, or you just simply spam out, material thingies.
You could even do a 3-to-1 like we have in engineering materials.
Whatever, yeah, there are so
Yeah.
many ways to balance this
Sure,
stuff, and
sure.
I'm not just gonna sit there to tell you exactly what you need to do, because guess what? That's developers' job to do.
Well, no, but I think what's good here so far, most everything we've discussed, like even this, to me, this is just this is a variable change, right? So this is something that, this is not a we're stuck with it right now kind of situation, I guess is my point, right? Like these are still things that should be easy enough for them to change before this goes live, right?
I don't know.
Because so far I like the mechanics quite a bit, right?
Yeah.
It's all the bitching that we're talking about, right? Which I think are easy enough for them to still fix. Like if we all got in and said, oh man, this new abrasion blaster is just awful, or something like that, right? Well, at this point, we're getting the abrasion blaster, right? It is what it is.
Yeah.
The way we identify the asteroids with the pulse scan is what it is, but I think for the most part, that stuff's good. I don't want to put words in everybody's mouths, but do you guys kind of get what I'm saying, or does anybody disagree with that? Yeah, DJ, what's your thoughts?
No, to be honest, I want to sort of make sure that what you're saying is seconded. To be honest with you, the issue is entirely with payout and yield. Yeah, and one of those two things, exactly as
There we
Emmett was saying, one of those two things needs shifting. Yeah, for me, it's yield. Yeah, just make them. The phrase in my chat has been used: loot pinata. Perfect.
Well, yeah,
right?
I mean, if you think about like in the future, I gotta kind of think one of these asteroids would be worth trillions. You wouldn't have to. You wouldn't come here and mine. I wouldn't think 50 asteroids. You'd come here and mine one for 50 hours.
Right.
right? You know, because you'd find one high value asteroid, and then your company would work on mining that for a long ass time.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, so you spend more time prospecting, looking for that
And
beautiful asteroid, and then you
Yeah.
just sit there for hours and hours and hours.
Exactly. Right. And maybe it's not,
Maybe
sit
you
there for
bookmark
hours and
it.
hours.
And
but
okay,
it's,
let's balance between those two
Right,
things.
right,
I
right.
also don't want to be mining one rock for 50 hours. It is,
Right,
as
right,
Yamit's
exactly.
quite rightly said, it is a computer game. Yeah, but you find
Absolutely.
the balance between that where, yeah, okay, finding the loot pinata is it's not rare. Rare is the wrong word, right? It's not usual. Yeah, most rocks aren't loot
Right.
pinatas.
But
But
I was
maybe 1 in 100 rocks, maybe one, and that's actually probably too high. Maybe 1 in 50.
I was having that conversation
might be
with
too
a
low.
friend.
Well,
What do you guys-
hang on.
Oh, sorry.
But
Yeah, go ahead.
When you find that balance point, and that would be the sort of thing I'd be pissing about in with this beta, yeah?
Sure.
Where's the balance point for our loot pinatas? How many, of every 100 rocks, how many should be a loot pinata? Is it 1? Is it 2? Is it 3? Whatever. You find that golden number where finding a loot pinata doesn't take too long, but it does feel like it's an achievement when you find one, right? Because that's what they're aiming for from that loop, right? No, that's true, Yamix.
I just exploded by ramming a.
Oh right, okay. I was about to say.
Oh, you exploded?
I was about to say. No, that's true.
Nice.
That's what they're trying to achieve, isn't it? They want you to feel an achievement when you find the loot pinata. But the problem is that because when you find that loot pinata at the moment, that when you pop it is not worth that much. The achievement isn't there. You don't feel happy that you found one, right?
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
great. Right.
Well,
So you need to balance those two things, and for me, it is just that phrase is perfect. Make them loot pinatas. When I crack one of these fucking rocks, I want it to be raining money, basically, in various
That'd be nice.
metally and minerally
Yeah.
forms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody.
I actually agree. It should be one of those situations when you find an asteroid, you crack it open, you should be shit. Damn, I wish I had more cargo hold.
Yes. Question for you guys: what does everybody think the appropriate average time between mother lode asteroids is? Is it 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes on average? I feel like it's 5.
Well, I was going to say, it kind of depends on if the payouts are balanced. If the payout is balanced and it's worth your time to find, then maybe 15, 20 minutes, because you don't want them to come up too often. But you don't want to sit here and have to look around for ages. Like, I just now found my first one for today about 5 minutes ago.
And you started
I just
looking when the stream started?
It took me about a half an hour to find it.
Wow, because I've gotten like 4 or 5 in that amount of time.
Yes, well, I've been taking my time and really homing in on specific high intensity signals, but yeah, it shouldn't take necessarily 30 minutes. I mean, on average, it should be about 15 to 20. So it's a little bit more often, but it's still enough effort to make it worth looking for.
And what's it worth then? Maybe that's a better question.
Yeah, I mean, what's it worth? I mean, to me, it's one.
10
this is
million.
Fun.
Like one mother lode asteroid by itself is worth 5 million, 10 million, a million, 100,000.
I
DJ,
think that's difficult to. I wouldn't do it on credits. I do it on tonnage, because personally, if you do it on credits,
well, no, we boil all this down to credits. So
no. Hang on. The reason I wouldn't do that is because a gold-heavy asteroid I would expect to be worth a fuck ton more money than an asteroid with iron-heavy. That's iron-heavy,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah, actually, iron
so
is
for
a
me,
material, but never mind.
yeah, sorry, yes, you're quite right. But you get my point.
Okay,
Yeah,
I do
yeah,
kind of get what you're saying, but
yeah.
Right, what
the
I
best-
would
balance it out.
Oh, one
let me
at a-
answer.
One at a time, guys. One at a time.
Let me answer the question. The answer is I would do it by tonnage, and I'd want about 250 tons per asteroid. That number to me sounds about right.
Yeah, when you crack it open.
When you crack an asteroid, getting about 250 tons from it, yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, that's a good question actually. What does Frontier? What do these weigh? What is this? What are these big? The whole asteroid? What's the whole thing weigh?
Oh, good lord!
I mean,
you'd be surprised.
Yeah, I mean, I think unbelievably massive, but
A lot.
to DJ's point, right? 250 tons coming out of one of these in some ways sounds like a ridiculous amount. In the other ways, it's probably a ridiculous scratch, right?
Yeah.
Well,
So
it's
wait,
really not that much.
it-
Think about it this way. The Viper 3 is by far smaller than these asteroids are on average, especially the motherlode ones. And that thing weighs 120 tons.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah.
But on the
These
other side of
things,
that, you have
these
to
things
take
are
into. Oh, sorry. Carl.
millions. Oh, I was going to say, these things are literally
Millions
millions
of
of
tons.
pounds
Yeah.
each.
yeah.
So, I mean, having something weigh, 250 tons is, it's peanuts compared to the whole thing.
It
But
is.
it's fair enough. I
but
mean,
when
the
you-
whole rock is not made out of pure
Yeah, exactly.
painite or pure gold. It is like deposits.
It's the
So-
seam within it. Yeah.
exactly.
As a general rule.
Yeah.
That most of what you're looking at is rock. Yeah. Or
Yeah, of
in the
course.
ice rings,
Of course.
ice. Yeah.
Of
So
course.
the vast majority of what you're looking at, it's unimportant, right? And so for me, yeah, finding about 250 tons, particularly when we're clearly not using the most efficient methodology possible, right? If you were going to strip mine an asteroid, you wouldn't be doing it the way we are.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd
Probably
just
not,
let the
no.
whole thing in and just grind it
That
down.
that
and-
being said, strip miners, yes, please.
But that figure for me would be entirely one that you play with, right? If you get 250 tons out, put that in the beta, see how people feel. Does that feel about right?
Well, here's
is
the
it
thing,
too
and
much
again-
money? What does that do to your credits per hour?
but
at
we're
the top
the funny
end,
thing
at the
is
bottom
we're
end.
so far away from that as always, right? Like what are we getting now? Like 15 tons, right?
Yeah.
Total,
Something like that.
If you're lucky.
When it's it's just another one of those so frustrating with Frontier on balance because it's so unbelievably woefully wrong, right? It's not just that it's a little off again, right? It's multiples, right? Like 10 times, 20 times off. Whereas that's where it gets so frustrating because I think we've all basically, even I'm going to venture to say Yemix to a degree likes the mechanics is probably putting
I
too
like
much of a
it.
word in somebody's mouth, but it's not. It certainly doesn't suck. The mechanics do not. I'm enjoying them.
To
for sure.
elaborate on the mechanics, right? So the whole subsurface thing maybe needs a bit more effects. I'd say the surface deposits definitely need to be either bigger or definitely just more in one place. So you use again the abrasion blaster. You basically just pew once and that's it.
Yeah,
you never get to enjoy using it.
I agree with that too.
This is one of the instances where developers just simply don't fucking get it. What makes the game interesting, It's not that you manage to use, a random small little weapon once. It's the big guns that you get to use once. The whole explosion of the asteroid is the big thing that is fun to do once, right? But the small one, I mean, it's not bad. Why not? Yeah. Oh, and there's one more addition that I'll rant on a little bit later, so just carry on.
Oh, I just.
Well, so please, Oscar, go right ahead, please.
I just realized that what we've been talking about right now about increasing the tonnage you get when you use these mining tools would also solve the problem we talked about in the beginning, where we feel like the new tools is more of an add-on to the existing rather than being a separate method. Because if cracking up an asteroid or digging out subsurface deposits would give you so much more tonnage, it would actually be a viable option to just skip the normal mining lasers, go with those new 3 new tools, and that would be you'd be good to go.
I completely agree, and that's like I said, that was kind of my impression. Just kind of going into it. If you ask me, well, how would you design this, right? Well, that's I kind of assumed to a large degree that the standard mining lasers, again, you would use those, when you're learning the game, when you can't afford anything, right? And that's what you would use to mine with until you unlock is a bad term, but unlock in the terms of unlock the credits for it, right? Should we move on? Because I have a question for DJ.
I still got one rant in me.
No,
but,
go.
Well,
No, that's fine. If you want to, right? Go right ahead. If you got more to say on
right.
mining.
So there's a little nitpick I have about Elite and visuals, right? So obviously we mentioned the whole pulse scanner being basically actually the visual ruining portion of the game, which is quite true as a matter of fact. The pulse laser actually for pulse wave thingamajig actually really makes the game look like a piece of shit, and I really struggle to see shit in the first place. But well, let's put that aside for a second. My bigger issue with the whole mining is that it looks like, or rather, the fissures, the whole asteroid explosions, the big grand thing looks like something from fucking 2008. The effects, particles, everything just feels old, dated, and garbage. Aside from one thing, and that is the fog. Fog is good. Everything else, it's just, I mean, fucking hell, it really looks like a fucking 2008 at best. And remember, folks, in 2008 and 7, Crisis came out. I shit you not, if you go back and watch or play those games, you're going to see better visuals. Just saying.
Hang on, are you moaning about the visuals in Elite Dangerous?
Yes.
Oh my
Okay.
god. Okay, well, this is one where I'm just going to make sure that I can put myself on record here as, like, I completely disagree with Yannick's there in every way, shape, and form.
I'm actually more. I'm probably between to some degree, but I'm definitely leaning more on the DJ and thinking lately that Elite looks pretty damn beautiful. Right. I think the new lighting to me looks great. I think the new effects of everything look great. My biggest visual complaint right now is the Nintendo 8-bit scanner effect that lingers for too long.
Which
that's
is an aesthetic choice rather than
it is, and that's what I'm saying. For me, from an aesthetic, like my preferences, right? That's the thing that I think looks. I mean, to my eyes, it looks absolutely horrible. Nothing else to me looks. I so far I'm really digging everything else. I mean, I'm definitely not going to say it's the Crisis of 2018 or the prettiest game of 2018 by any stretch, right? But like I think it looks pretty great, to be honest.
I'm gonna put this out there from a personal perspective. I prefer the look of it to No Man's Sky.
Oh, me too.
Oh God, yes.
Me too.
Yeah.
Now, I do
down.
like the art style of No Man's Sky, right? I'm definitely not a hater of it. I can see how people don't like it, right?
That wasn't me. Wasn't me shitting on No Man's Sky.
No, I know, and I like the style of No Man's Sky, but I greatly prefer the style of Elite. Right, and Yamix, I know you're in that category, correct?
Right. Just to give the insights on game graphics and so on and so forth. Of course, I'm not expecting Elite to be a AAA level. Now, whenever we talk about Elite and graphics in general, in grand scheme of things, Elite's graphics I'd rate as below average when it comes down to the scale and sort of that money and scale it has put in the game, which is fine for the vastness of the sandbox that Elite has been built on. Obviously, the graphics kind of needs to suffer or be lower than your average wankfest game. Though when it comes down to it, even compared to Elite's normal effects, the explosion from the asteroid really feels super dated for me, and really just something that I honestly didn't. That's why it's so jarring to me. I perceive it as something that is really poorly done. That's
and it's funny, Yamix. I get what you're saying to a small degree. Like part of the detonation, the first part of it to me is not great. Right. The second part, when we get the blast ring, whatever you want to call that I actually think they did a really damn good job with. I don't think the initial kind of explosion, there's something about it I actually don't like either, that I think looks a little sophomoric in a way, right? It doesn't look bad, right? But it doesn't look like what I was expecting. It doesn't look as good as I was expecting. The ring that comes out of it reminds me of, what was it in Star Wars Episode 2? the stupid
Oh, jeez.
seismic shocks when he was in the asteroid
Oh,
field.
that thing.
Remember
Oh,
that?
God. No,
It
it's
reminds me
pod
of those, and I
racing.
also think it's cool that you guys know it'll destroy your fighter, or at least destroys the Guardian fighters, right? You guys know that, right? If your fighter's
The
close
asteroids
enough when you
deal
detonate
about
it,
350 damage.
is that what it is? Okay, because I just flew
About
right up to one.
350, yeah.
Okay, I just flew right up
I
to
don't
one
know.
with my crate and took a bunch of damage from it, and I've killed every ship launch fighter that I had deployed while I was when I detonated one.
I don't know. I'm
So-
actually about to detonate. I think just since I last talked, I've found 3 more mother loads. So now I'm on a roll.
Okay,
But,
there you go.
I don't know. I don't
Nice
think that
slowed
these are
down.
really that bad. Like I'm.
That
I
bad
wanna,
in terms
I'll
of
pay,
what?
Give it
well,
time.
in terms
I
of graph,
say
in
give
terms,
it
in terms
time.
of the way it looks. Like I really think it probably looks better than you guys are thinking. At least maybe to me. But then again, like another
Wait,
thing
clarify
is
what you're saying,
visual.
Proxim.
Like visual. You know, whether something looks good or bad to some people is entirely subjective. So that one is kind of
Absolutely.
hard to really,
Yeah.
nail down. But I don't know. I'm going to pay a little bit closer attention to it and see what I think on this next one.
For
And what
me,
do you
it's
specifically,
mostly to
Proxim,
do
are you-
in comparison to everything else that's been shown. Of course, yes, the Guardian sparking things are just simple planes with textures on them. Sure, yeah, I recognize that. But even those are made to an extent in a better way. I
Has
don't
that
know.
been found yet? Have the lightning fields been found yet?
Yeah, I think so.
I think those are the clouds.
Lagrange clouds?
Those the
Okay,
clouds, yeah.
It wasn't clear to me if all Lagrange clouds had the lightning in them
No,
or not.
no, not all of them.
No, not all
Okay,
of them.
okay. Well, so that's what I'm asking. Has anybody found the lightning yet in a
Are
Lagrange
those
cloud?
crystal things alive?
What do you mean?
Wow.
They spawn
make
these small
noises.
space pods.
Right, okay, because like I asked them that and they wouldn't answer me on the day we were there. I full on just when they showed us that I was just like, "Are they alive?" And they were like, "We're gonna let you find that out on your own." So I've been wondering that ever since.
Well, they react if you get close to the pods.
I've missed something because I don't know what you guys are talking about.
I
haven't seen
haven't been
those
to
yet.
them, but okay.
Okay,
interesting.
so-
What's the
It
closest-
looks like
Okay.
Targoid poop.
Okay, I should probably say now spoilers.
Oh, that should be apparent, I would think.
Yeah. Okay. So if you
no,
go,
no, very nice of you, but yeah, definitely.
so if you go to some of these nebulous around, you'll be able to find these anomalies in space that basically show up as signal sources.
Okay.
And if you drop into them, they will have these. The whole site will be filled with some clouds of various color. They're not corrosive or anything. But inside them, you can have that, like, both these spiky asteroids, but also some other, like, with that kind of where the small pods are docked, look like they're grown from it or something like that. And then you would have these small pods that would be flying around, like organic pods. They kind of look like Thargoid thingies. And if you fly close to them, they will like fart out something and fly away from you.
All right, there
Okay,
are multiple
that's
types. So
awesome.
yeah, and that's my point in some ways about the whole asteroids as well. You know, this is a space game, and now we get some more colors because, well, there are things out there.
I just
There
found a
could be
video of one. By the way, I love how it just says placeholder title.
Yeah.
Oh God, that's
It's-
also a wonderful piece. Imagine if
Uh,
that would be pushed
I
on
think
the
that's
live.
actually intentional for once, to be honest with you. I think that's.
We'll see about that.
I think that one's actually intentional to keep some of the mystery in for live.
Yeah.
Personally.
Then why include them? You're spoiling the good
because
thing.
otherwise you're
Why
not
include them at all?
well, because otherwise they're not being tested. The advantage of including them is that people interact with them and test them, so they
I
can
don't
see
know.
that they get that information.
I
back,
prefer
but they
to
can
just keep
hide.
that wonderful.
They can
yeah.
hide a few little bits about it. Well, if it had gone in live and it didn't work, yeah, we'd be shitting all over them for putting it in live and it not working, right?
Well, that's what you
So-
get QA team for, really, don't you?
I just detonated this rock, and
Okay.
I don't know. I like the way that looks.
I mean, I don't
Um,
think it's bad. Don't get me wrong. It's that first of the two explosions, though, is the one to me that's a little meh.
I mean,
Right.
it could, if you really wanted it to be like perfect. And yeah, I see where you're getting at, but at the same time,
These days, you are
really don't
able to
think-
do way better particle
Y- y-
effects. Let's be
yeah.
honest. Come on, even
mean, look,
amateurs
if this
in
was
the
Well,
any-
here
indie
again,
games
though,
have
here's
them.
the thing. Here's the thing. Let's really analyze that for a moment here, because the games that have this super high quality particle effects are also the ones that render a very small, limited
I
area.
know. Yes.
This
that
game
is
has
true.
to deal with something much, much, much larger than that, with poly counts potentially, eons beyond what, say like Battlefield 1, blah, 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 blah. So there's an element of optimization there. Now, I have all the faith in the world that if they really wanted to, crank that up to absolute AAA level crisis will kill you type thing, then yeah, they could probably do it, no problem. But I don't think they're going to, because optimization issues.
No, yeah. I mean, I don't think they're gonna. I don't see them changing it. I don't think it's that. I certainly don't think it's that bad. I mean, there's many other things I would put on the list before that. Right. Speaking of, should we move on and we can revisit mining?
Yeah, let's do it.
As makes sense. So the other big thing that launched this week, that DJ is going to start us about with the question for me is squadrons. And so, kind of like the other things, DJ, like talk about a little bit about, what it is, like what we have right now, which I'm going to set you up with is, I said this last week, I've never played a game with a guild system or, a big multiplayer system like this in it. So I don't really know what I'm missing to a large degree, but I know seemingly I don't think I'm missing much, because there's not anything there to do, which means that they must all be this way, right? I mean, I don't get, so again, tell us what it does, but I don't get the why. I mean, like, I don't get the why of this feature at all. I'll save my little quip for after you explain, if you remember my little quip from before we started.
So
yeah, tell us what it is, what it's supposed to be, and then we can all start
Squadron seems to be the result of Frontier looking at what we as player groups do well and replicating that feature in game rather than giving us new things. If I'm completely honest, it has some neat chat functionality stuff, which can only be accessed when you're in game, so is less useful than Discord, which we all use, and it has shared bookmarks, which could be accomplished with an Excel
I haven't been able to put any of them.
I don't think they
know where to
work
find
yet,
them.
right?
Right, okay.
They're clearly not turned on.
Or you have to actually set them in the I don't know if that's a.
I tried multiple ways.
Me
none
too,
of
me
them
too.
worked.
Have you tried as the squadron leader setting
Yes.
it so
yeah,
that people have the
yes,
permissions?
yes.
Right. Okay. I didn't
Yes,
know if that was
yes.
okay. Cool. Just to make sure.
Yeah,
that
I'm
we,
with Yamix. I can find no way to make it work.
Okay.
either.
I haven't tried yet.
Yeah, it's clearly just not turned on.
That when it works will be neat. Right. Shared bookmarks. I mean, to be honest, it could be accomplished with a shared Excel document, but it's still pretty neat. Right?
No, but having it in game,
Yeah,
right?
agreed,
Of course,
yep.
of course.
It gives us BGS stat tracking, which is less effective than the BGS stat tracking that most of us do already. And it gives us leaderboards that no one asked for nor wants.
Oh no, we don't need that.
Actually,
leaderboards is arguably
almost my favorite piece.
I was about to say leaderboards is arguably okay. So maybe saying nobody wants is an exaggeration, and I apologize.
Which exceeds you wants.
But some people will really enjoy them. I grant that. But
I promise they're not going to do what I would want them to really do. But I think if my version of leaderboards was implemented, they could be very cool. But
Everything is about CQC and open only, right?
What you could do with squadrons,
something like that.
What you could do with squadrons is vastly more. I will say, and there's
I don't really know how you could do less.
I will say a couple of people in my chat are pointing out that particularly for smaller groups, it is actually fairly useful.
In what? Okay, not to be a smartass, but in
administration, actual administration of the group. Yeah.
That is true.
it actually becomes, for larger, more
Okay.
established groups, I'll be honest with you, at the moment, the leadership of my group are looking at it as an extra layer of administration rather than a new tool that we're looking forward to using.
Well, it's just like amazing to me that we still don't even have basic things like, okay, so I'm playing with a buddy last night who is, in my squadron. He's actually a full admin, whatever you want to call it, whatever the term is,
Yeah.
in it. And we're going to the same place, right? And I can't even share my jump destination with him so that he doesn't have to type it in. I mean, to me, that seems like at this point
That's a wing. That's more of wing functionality.
Oh, yeah, but okay,
Yeah.
sure, whatever it is, but it's part of the multiplayer functionality. That why? How can we have something like squadrons that's supposed to share all this big data when we can't even do something as little and tiny and basic as share a route? Like I'm kind of hoping that shared bookmarks somehow lets us solve that.
Yeah, that
You
would be
quickly
a
make
way
a
of doing it.
bookmark,
Yeah, exactly.
right?
Yeah.
Something like that, right?
Now,
But that seems silly
as
to me,
well
yeah.
as that,
There's
the final, hang on, and then I'll shut up. I promise. Sorry. The final piece of the puzzle is that you can only be in one in a game where you only get one account per person,
right?
unless
right,
you go out and
is-
purchase more. Now,
means
traditionally
we
in
have a bunch of
MMOs,
tiny
well,
ones.
hang on.
Sorry. Yep. Go ahead.
Traditionally in MMOs, there's one of two solutions to this particular problem. You either allow single membership, but those games, like you're only allowed to be in one guild essentially. Those games tend to have multiple accounts per user. If there's only one user, they tend to allow people to be in multiple guilds. You tend to have to set an active guild, which makes perfect sense, right? At this point,
Guild
I
Wars
am.
2
Yeah,
example.
Guild Wars 2 is the prime example of it, right?
Indeed.
And Guild Wars 2 is, in fact, relatable to Elite in many ways, including its pricing model. And
Yeah.
they have a perfect solution there, yeah? You're only allowed one account, cool. You're allowed to be in multiple groups, but you're only allowed to represent one at once. Awesome. No one has any issue with that. In other games, you're only allowed to be in one, but you're allowed 3 or 4 accounts. Also awesome. I have no issue with this.
EVE Online, for instance.
Yeah, the problem is that Frontier have gone, no, you're allowed to be in one, and you only get one account. So, I keep banging on this, yeah, but you use, I mean, Jesus, take any of the big institutional groups as your first example, Fuel Rats, Canon, Mobius, whatever, yeah? Then you add in the second, their actual player group. Sovereignty, Privateers Alliance, the 51st, whatever.
Seekers of Zen.
Right, yeah. You then add in a third thing that like is, a tiny group of friends where they're the people they fly with most of the time and they got their little thing that they do together, yeah? And trust me, I know like a lot of people within my group that are in exactly that situation.
Yep.
And okay, I run or help run a larger group, yeah? I accept that we're not a prime example. There's a lot of groups out there. There's a lot more smaller groups than there are groups of our size. They're more important in the grand scheme of things than I am. That's one of the reasons I don't care about the size cap, yeah? For me, 500, cool, no problem. Most groups will never run into it as a problem. Why bother?
Yeah, I agree
yeah?
with that.
Right?
Yeah, I do agree with that.
So that's not an issue.
Okay.
I'm not going to bang on about that, yeah? But for me, only being able to be in one group, when so many of us, particularly because groups have been established so much longer before the guild system was put into place, right? The groups already exist, and most groups, not all, but most groups in Elite Dangerous have a policy of, go and join other groups as well. Cool. We're not going to tell you can't fly with other friends in a game about digital spaceships.
Of course.
Yeah. And now Elite is putting everyone into a position where it's choose. And it's so far from ideal, it's silly. And now I will shut up like I promised I would. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Astro's been trying to jump
So
in for a minute. What do you got?
I don't know if I'm jumping the line here, but
No, you're
two points. One was also been mentioned in my chat is console. I think Squadrons, and I don't play console, don't even own a console, but I could see that if you are playing on a console, that would be a lot more useful to have a Squadron there, because if you need Discord, well, it's on your phone or it's on. I don't know if does Discord exist on consoles. Can they install like a Discord thingy? I don't think they can.
I know of. No, you have to do it on your phone.
Exactly, so it'll be on your phone or on a laptop next to it.
Right.
I get. Then I could see it would be nice to have some in-game things that allows you to communicate within the game. That's one point. And then as a comment to what DJ said, that yes, it is a minority of the factions that are going to need, where it's going to be an issue with the 500 limit. But for those squadrons where it's going to be an issue, that is the most dedicated, I think, player in the game. Those are the like huge communities that really spend a ton of time, especially the ones managing it. So I could see, yes, you do hit the minority, but the minority you hit is the most active and the most dedicated players to the game, which I think is a bit of a weird way to do it.
I think partly the reason it's not an issue is because you're only allowed to be in one squadron. Yeah, I don't think anyone's going to hit that cap of 500. If anyone does, it'll either be the fuel rats or cannon. They'll be the only two I can. No, Mobius is a player group. It isn't a player group.
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah, I know.
I don't think they'll hit 500 in their squadron. They may, but I don't.
Well,
think
and I think
not
quickly
certain.
We're gonna have like 5,000 squadrons of like 5.
Yeah.
Right, and like 2,000 squadrons of 2, and then you'll have like 100 squadrons over 100 probably, something like that.
Yeah, pretty much.
I think as you're getting at, DJ, for me, the issues I think I could get by or not be too upset with the that can't join but one squadron if there was any reason to do it. I mean, I don't see the only feature I can see that I would potentially use is the group chat, right? Being able to shout out and say, hey, anybody that's online right now in the squadron, heads up, or that kind of thing. That's cool from an in-game perspective, right?
The other thing is it's nice to represent your group. You're going to get a pretty vanity tag in your name that says what squadron you're flying.
That's always why people join clans and so
exactly,
forth,
exactly. Right, yeah. It's really frustrating that has to be 4 characters, right? And not 3 characters like
tag
most
is a tag, but real name, again, tag is a limitation that should be in place, and it just allows...
No, but it shouldn't... I agree with that, Yemix, but I think
it has to have, right.
It has to have 4, right?
If it was up to
4, exactly. If it was up to 4, and I could just be L11 in my case, right? Or SDC, like what is SDC gonna do, right? SDC 1 or
2, 3, 4.
We did solve 0. We did solve 0.
Right, which is, I mean, that's what you have to do, but it's stupid, right? Right? You should be SOV, right? I did LV11 for level 11, right? Well, all right, that worked okay, but at the same time, it just seems so arbitrary, right? None of us would do little things that way. But again, I just don't get why I care about it, right? I mean, I'm very kind of like meh about it. And I thought I would be, but I just, I think. Now, here's a question I have for you, and I wish I'd have said something like this when say Multicrew came out, right? Do you guys think a year from now, how many updates do you think we will have gotten to Squadrons in the next year?
None.
Probably none.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to actually maybe say that one place I disagree is if we get fleet carriers in the next year, obviously you would argue that's going to have to change something.
Well, that was originally
We are not. Okay, I can't of course be 100, but I don't think we're gonna see fleet carriers. If they decide to pull it from a patch, that means it is way off. It's far off what they wanted.
Oh, I agree. I think it's 6 months.
Fleet carriers will happen if the uptake in squadrons shows them that there's enough interest in squadrons for them to do fleet carriers.
But there's nothing to do in squadrons.
Because squadrons is such a half-baked feature.
Right.
It will end up where we'll never see fleet carriers. That's my prediction, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm afraid so, unfortunately.
I could sadly say, I think at this point, fleet carriers are coming. I think there's probably too much code written for that. There's too much in the community. My biggest question with fleet carriers is it going to be something that we're going to have to pay for, or is it going to be something we're just going to get, right? And I bet you we're going to have to pay for it.
Well, we'll have to pay for it in some form, because it was, as I understand it, originally intended that the squadrons, were able to be formed without a carrier, and that you could that your squadron could invest in one over time if it so choose.
Right.
There
was a focused feedback thing as well for it, by the way.
Yeah.
I almost guarantee that we're going to get it eventually once they figure out. Because impression is that they just were having trouble getting it to behave the way they wanted. So we'll probably get it once they figure out how to make it behave. That's my guess. Because putting something like that in place where, not just that where players themselves can control something on that massive of a scale and move it to places, blah, 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 blah. That is no small task to add to something to Elite that didn't originally have something like that in the first place. So I can see where they're having some trouble with it, especially considering the number of squadrons, etc., that are, likely to be in game at some point. That's a lot of things that could possibly go wrong. So getting it right the first out is going to be important. So I can appreciate them taking the time.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, I think for me, it all comes down to, is any of the gameplay reasons, are they going to be worth it? I mean, I'm assuming everybody else has experienced the bug where you can't send, you can like post something to your kind of private channel or public channel that your private channel doesn't work. That's everybody's having that bug. I haven't looked it up, but
we have it as well.
Yeah.
And
so it'll be interesting to see, when that comes. Somebody in my chat just said something about maybe being able to mix, like fleet carriers could house multiple squadrons. Would that maybe be an interesting way to do something? And I don't know. I think some sort of alliance between squadrons is probably pretty key. Would you guys agree with that?
Well, you can still do. You can do an official alliance, game-supported alliance. That'd be nice, sure.
And that's what I mean. So that you see an alliance ship.
And what does that do for me?
Well, as you say, you see an alliance ship, and it marks on your HUD in some way that that they're an ally. Right. You jump into a CG system, you see a guy sitting there in an FDL and you're in a cargo ship. Do you ping him and say, hey, I see that we're an ally. You want to give me an escort? Yeah. Maybe that kind of stuff.
So it's a purely aesthetic thing with no gameplay value and no.
Well, I mean, to me, the gameplay value. Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, for that simple one, I think remember, hey, I'm the one that doesn't play these kind of games.
Yeah. For me, if you put an alliance system in, the only reason to do so is to negate the single player. The single usage thing where you can only be in one group, and the reason you do it is that you can ally up, and that if two groups are allied, players can move freely between them without having to go through the rigmarole of the application process. Because that is what's going to kill this system. Yeah, it's the fact that, like, for us as the sovereignty, I doubt you'll ever have to wait more than 6 hours to get an application dealt with. Yeah, because there's like 1,000 of us, whatever, right? Yeah, we span the globe. There are people online at all times at an officer level, meaning that for us, dealing with applications is a piece of piss. How do you deal with that when you're a 10-player group?
Right. Yeah. No, absolutely. Especially given that, and I'm assuming this is a bug too, especially when right now there's no sort of in-game notification other than you just go to the squadrons tab and look and see if there's anything there, right? The notifications in
pretty
general.
much.
I'm gonna say that's how it is at the moment.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I was gonna say, if we don't have another rant, we can move on because we're a little.
I have
late.
a rant.
You got one?
I
all right.
Yamex hasn't even sounded off on this yet. I want to hear. Like, this is one where I have a horrible feeling I'm actually going to agree with Yamex for once. Which is even rarer than.
How would you not agree with me, DJ?
Well,
How
you
would
and
you
I
not agree with the
disagree
great
quite-
and powerful one?
Because idiot in a spaceship.
He hasn't been immersed. He hasn't been immersed yet.
But yeah, I have a horrible
you know
feeling
I play
this.
about the same way.
I know, but this is where you and I think are going to just totally agree for
that's
once.
okay.
Because
Right,
your view
so-
on Squadrons, I think, aligns a lot with what I've said.
Probably.
Yeah. So go
Right,
ahead.
so
Sorry.
let's start with the wonderful taster that I also started my most other rants with when it comes to squadrons. So first things first. Those of you here, of course, able to respond and think up of a reason. Doesn't need to be a reason that you believe in, but just a reason. Why would there be a need to pay to open a squadron?
Because the game needs a money sink? No?
That's a good point. Next.
An administrative fee, but if you're going to tell me that the administrative fee would work out at what is it, $320 million in current currency, then right, what?
I don't have any problem with that fee. Are you saying
I
you do?
don't. No,
I
I don't. But I
have
get
an
what
issue
you're
with it.
saying. I get
So,
what you're saying. There's no purpose to
why
it.
do we need it? That's my question. Why do we
Oh,
need
just to keep
to
from
pay?
having. I mean, I think for me, I think to keep from having 100, 2-man squadrons, right? It keeps
Yeah.
you from just doing it.
All right.
And the load on the back end, I don't see that as a bad thing at all, because I think the 10 million is low enough
Fair enough.
that if it had been 100 million Yamix, I'm with you. That would be a bit too much. But I think 10 million, only if you're not, that's, to me, that's not a big bad. But
So
sorry, I'm interrupting
point
your
was,
rant and should stop.
Your point was basically you need some sort of a deterrent for people to make a squadron for
Right,
him,
for everybody
her,
to create
for him and his friend.
Right, exactly. Like
So,
instead of having
literally,
1,000
that's-
squadrons of
yeah,
2,
okay.
let's have 2 squadrons of 1,000. I mean,
Yeah.
Okay, so that's another point. Proxim, maybe
Yeah.
you have one last idea.
It's just there to keep people from joining the game and then making their own squadron, basically clogging
and
up
undoing
things
it,
and
and
yeah. I mean, it's just there to kind of keep things as clean as possible,
It's a spam
discourage people
filter.
from abusing it. Yeah.
it's a spam filter.
I mean, let's be honest here. Like 1 million credits as it stands right now is
right, fair enough.
nothing.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Now,
No, Yamix, you're totally right from a lore type perspective. It makes no sense, but
it doesn't. No. My point really on this whole anti-spam thingamajig is I'll get to the money sink in just a bit, but the money sink is a rather interesting argument. Now, I of course, I haven't maintained a real server in my life, but I've touched databases, and probably a lot of you have at least touched Excel and all that stuff. Now,
I like to call Excel
I don't-
database.
I don't know about you, but server space and server capabilities of putting something like a squadron on and off or just maintaining such a thing doesn't seem to be such a big daunting task. So honestly, I don't see any leg to stand on whenever somebody says that it has to be something to prevent spamming. It just feels like you're the person that says that, and not implying that you guys are, but probably are. I don't know. Who knows? Did you think that servers are still in
Yes.
1980s?
No. You're missing the point, Yamix, because I do this level of server maintenance. It's
right.
not necessarily what you're thinking in terms of like one of these applications from a server perspective is both probably like lower resource intensive than you think it is and higher at the same time. It's not just as simple as, hey, add this to the database, done. There's going to be a number of background processes that are going to get kicked off to update a bunch of other background processes that we don't know. So for every person that's creating a squad, right, that's creating a exponential workload of just total bullshit, right? So I think the way they've done it to put some level of discouragement but not such a level of discouragement that it's really any sort of issue for somebody who wants a squad. Nobody that wants a squad is going to not be able to pay the fee, right? And so I think
Fair
there
enough.
is a good thing from their standpoint of they've got so much data coming in right now, so much to debug, that if they can weed out and I would guess it would be a somewhat significant percentage of all requests, at least 10, if not higher, because everyone would be able to create a squad of one. And there are a lot of solo people that play it. Now, all of a sudden, if all of those people created a squad just to see what a few screens look like that they can see on YouTube that bear no bearing on, on the game to them at all, I don't fault them at all for making that technical decision, because that's all it is. Right.
Yeah.
That.
All
So
right.
it would have been neater if maybe there was another mechanic, or if you could just trust people to not do it. But I mean, Astro, you do this kind of work too. Disagree with me if you want to, but I think that this is a smart thing for them to have done.
Yeah, I don't think it's I mean, I agree there will be a lot of stuff to manage, but it's not. I mean, this is what you would call a slowly changing dimension. I mean, this is not something that changes daily. People don't switch
Right.
squadrons daily. People don't create a new squadron daily. It's happening slowly over a longer period of time.
Right.
And I don't see it being. I mean, it's a pretty straightforward database case to store something like this. So I don't think that's the big issue.
Right. Yeah. And we don't know that, I guess, is all I'm getting at, right?
Depends on how well they coded it, of course.
Well,
We'll see.
Let's make our assumptions about there or not, right?
Yeah.
This is random, but does anybody know if the board hopping changes are in beta?
I'm
Does
not
anybody
sure. I haven't tested
tried
it.
to
It wasn't
grind
mentioned
something?
anywhere, so
Has anybody wanted to grind in beta yet?
I
No.
noticed that there's absolutely no change in the speed of missions being generated, because it still crashes, it still slows, and so on and so forth. So I don't see an increase or decrease anywhere. So
Yeah, okay.
I don't know.
Gotcha.
Then again, I've really not touched mission boards anymore.
Right. Yeah, Yamix, back to your
Yeah,
rant.
there's still plenty I can stop.
Oh,
Come
I know.
on. Oh,
I
come
know.
on. Right. So I know we have about a half an hour left, because
Yeah,
okay, let's be honest. About ships, there's not much to say. So let's go on with the squadrons. So when it comes down to squadrons, well, casually dismissing, why not?
Love it.
The whole thing about
I like the
Uh,
Mamba.
shut the fuck up. You internet fanboy. Fuck off. No,
Lol.
Mamba is bad. Okay.
It's pretty.
Right, it's pretty bad. Right. The whole squadron thing is, I don't know. There are even lower tier games. Well, let's say financially as well, that still manage to, for anyone to open a guild, a squadron, and so on and so forth. And it just makes me wonder. Why, a company like Frontier, who touts itself on the, coding ability so fucking much, couldn't really make this stuff.
Do they do that?
They like to tout the Cobra
Yeah.
engine.
They like to brag about the whole, the Cobra engine handles this much, or it is able to do this much, and then blah blah blah. It's just over time it accumulates, and it just is quite noticeable from time to time, especially when it comes down to more drier level of features being introduced in the game. BGS being a good example, they always talk about background simulation being so good, so fucking good. Oh my god. Anyways, that's not the point. Right. So I did mention that, not allowing any random Johnny, Bobby, and Dickie make their own group of friends, a squadron, without grinding the game. Let's say very casual players that don't really want to grind monies and one of those. It just, for me, it doesn't really feel like a smart move. You could have, again, there's literally, again, if the price is just there so that they have to do less.
You mean, in other
Well,
words, like they're using that as a fake means to not give people to overburden? Is that
yeah.
kind of what you're getting at?
Pretty much, yes.
I mean,
And
I get
hate
it,
to
but
see
at the
that.
same
I
time,
hate to see that. That I'm a consumer, and I'm gonna voice my opinion, and that is my opinion. So there you go. That aside, of course, the whole money sink. They might just simply might just think that everything in this game requires some sort of a price, and if that's the case, then whoever is designing this shit needs to get his head out of his ass. That's all I'm gonna say. Um, of course, if that's the case. If not, then well, okay, that's a different case. Then of course the squadron limits, right? I did inquire about the squadron limits of 500 to the community team, and still haven't heard back. Though it seems
like
like
when you
just
say inquired, you mean like to confirm that there is a limit?
no. Inquire
Okay.
why. Inquire why,
Okay,
and what
okay.
is the technical limitation? Because just saying in a stream that it's because of technical difficulties that we are not able to provide people with infinite amount of or seemingly infinite amount of players being added to a squadron. Yet, let's not forget that relatively speaking, infinite amount of players are able to make squadrons. And yet not infinite amount are able to join squadrons.
Actually, I have.
Yeah.
So I was just sitting thinking because I was trying to figure out why, if there's any other option we haven't explored, why they would put a limit on how many squadrons they want to have created. And I thought,
I've thought
listen
about
to
this
this.
so
Listen to
much.
this.
Yeah, go.
I thought the squadron tag, not the like the tag you select in your squadron, but like the ID plate you get, 4 characters. That gives you a total of less than 500,000 combinations. Obviously, not all of them is gonna be applicable. I mean, if you want something that just vaguely resembles, and you don't want the I just smashed my head into the keyboard 4 times, then you're I would say realistically you can reduce that by down to 10%, being something people would probably use for their squadrons. I mean, they have to probably be. I mean,
Right.
people not gonna make the squadrons called like
ZZXY.
CZXQ or something like that. Some people
Yeah,
might just do it for the lols, but you get my point.
Yes.
And I could see maybe, I don't know if that's it, that they are afraid over time that it's going to creep, but then again, okay, I haven't thought this through, because if that was the case, why wouldn't they just increase the character set by allowing like underscore or dashes and stuff, like special characters like that? Or just increasing the size from 4 characters to, I don't know, 6 characters, and you would have, I don't know, but millions. Let me just calculate that real quick. If you increase that from 4 characters to 6 characters, you would have 308 million combinations. So more than they need.
Currently, let's see. So all the alphabet, was it 32 characters? Was it, or was it 30? Again, I don't know alphabets. So let's presume there are 44 allowed characters.
Why do you get 44 right? From? They only do use capital letters.
42. They use also numbers. So.
Oh yeah, I actually forgot
so
numbers.
That's 10
okay, fair point. I forgot numbers.
So that's 40. Let's say there are 42 allowed characters. For 4 character limits, if you max out all of them,
then my calculations are off.
Then that's 3 million possible combinations for squadrons, and 3 million squadrons in this sort of a game I highly doubt would ever be, but well, hey, you never know. So let's say there's a seemingly infinite amount of people able to create squadrons, but not a seemingly infinite amount of people are able to join these squadrons. It's fucking baffling to me, right? I just don't get it. Why? And that's why I was inquiring. Why? What's the point? Or what is the thing? Because again, if you are to write me, tell me that the way the setup, the SQL base or whatever you are using for the servers, what else, just can't handle it, or just there's something specific. Well, I would still bitch about it to a point, but at least I would know that you're lacking somewhere and you're trying to do something. But at this point, I'm just hearing nothing, and how many times do I need to actually go and poke Frontier either directly or indirectly or whatever else, and try and get an answer from them? or just them themselves explaining things. Because for me,
Like,
500
what are you
is,
thinking?
yeah,
Right?
yeah,
It's
exactly.
very
What's the
arbitrary.
problem? Because saying, oh, it's a technical difficulty, that is a dismissive answer. I'm not taking that shit. I'm trying to be fucking, journalist here to a point, right?
Right,
Trying
right.
to inquire this shit. And if I am able, which I am, to present this information on my videos and, at least somewhat inform folks, I would do so. But no, there is still no information on it. Regardless, let's see, the 500, yeah. So, I come from PlanetSide. So those of you that have played PlanetSide and all that, woohoo, yes, will know that PlanetSide does support way more people in one outfit. As a matter of fact, I don't even remember what exactly was the limit of one outfit, but let's say it was somewhere around 4,000, right? It's just a small game, well, relatively smaller game, a planet side, and it's capable of doing more than elites. An actively developed game, a notably larger game as well. I'm just thinking, what the fuck are you guys thinking?
I now that I've been thinking about it, I don't think that the squadron limit is a technical issue. They
No,
might
no, no,
say
no,
it
no,
is.
no, no, no.
It's a
They
business
said
decision somewhere. Why? Yeah. Frontier knows.
the thing is, literally, in their stream, in their official dev stream, I constantly try to get an answer on why there is a 500 player limit. And unfortunately, the people presenting at the time was one of the community managers. I forgot which one, but there was the Adam White, or
Woods.
Berkway.
the other Adam, not the Woods. Yeah, Berkeley.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and he literally responded with just saying it's a technical difficulty, and didn't follow up on anything because it's not this department of development and wanted else. So obviously he didn't know, and yet he was presenting squadrons, and I'm just thinking, okay, conclude whatever you are concluding there yourselves. I'm not gonna say anymore. So yeah, and when it comes down to squadrons as well, the UI is buggy as fuck. Everything
What?
else is
Oh, yeah.
UI is horrible, mate.
Yeah, it
If
really
you haven't
is.
No,
I mean,
but buggy?
fucking hell.
What bugs in this UI apart from the messages not being sent?
Messages not being sent, that's not UI bug. The
Well,
thing
I
is
don't
that
like that-
pressing buttons doesn't work often.
Well, like on the main screen, you've got up at the top, members online, pending application, total members. Why are those not buttons? Right? Why can't I go over and click on
Yes.
members online and click on total members? Right? Why can't I click on any of that stuff yet? Right?
And sure, this
And
is
I
a
just set
design
this up last
issue and
night,
what else,
so-
but fucking hell, the UI on Squadron is just horrible looking. That's bottom line. Well, leaderboards is another thing that I don't know why it's there. It's just fucking annoying. It could have been a thing that could have been included in the game later. Sure, I understand the idea behind leaderboards, and a lot of people like that because it gives a competitive edge there. But let's focus on actually putting in the basics in. Right? That's oftentimes when it comes down to software development. I know there are definite things that need to be put in, but leaderboards as a feature should have been pushed back. And well, again, I'm questioning the lead on the project, or the lead on this design, and just why? What was the point? And yeah, the allegiance, whatever. Okay, whatever. Okay, so joining multiple squadrons. Okay, yeah, this is a good point about joining multiple fucking squadrons. So elites, realistically speaking, have been literally avoiding aggressively, at least to my sort of impression, avoiding the good practices of the industry. That's my perception of Frontier. It seems that they are just literally not just simply not looking at the rest of the industry when it comes, especially when it comes to this feature. Because again, what we've gotten as a squadron literally is super dated as is for the features it's been given to us. And again, as DJ said and Astro and everyone else said, Well, if there is an interest, well, they might expand it. If there's no interest, then it's gonna go for the way of CQC, not Dodo,
Well,
but
or
CQC.
to the point, you know, I would say there's been interest in multi-crew, but because it works so bad so long
It
later,
doesn't work out.
right? No, nobody wants to use it. Nobody cares. It becomes a laughing stock, and I just about guarantee you that's what this is going to be, right?
It
You'll,
feels
you know,
like
you'll
it.
get into your squadron just like you got into your friend with somebody, right? You'll do it a kind of one-time thing, and I just don't see it being something that. Again, I think the sad thing I keep thinking about this update, there's still nothing that fundamentally changes the way that I play. Right,
Yes,
the
indeed,
mining and
indeed.
exploration is the closest, right?
I'll
And then,
explain that playstyle a little bit later, but yeah, go.
well, you know, and the thing that I said to Yamix or to everybody before the stream, thinking about squadrons, to me, it's so incredibly bare bones. It's like something that two guys would hack together as a mod to a game in an afternoon. Like, you know, I don't play these games, but like Elder Scrolls has huge mod support,
Mhm.
right? Right? It sounds like two
Mhm.
guys were like, hey, you know, I've been trying to figure this out. Let's see if we can write this squadron mod for Elder Scrolls tonight. Okay. And, you know, a few hours later, they have the basic functionality we have. You know, you can join one, you can pledge to something, you can, what
Mhm.
else? You can post a message to everybody. I mean, right? Like, how much?
It does feel quite hacked together, definitely. For the performance that has been given to me, it's amazing. The features have been absolutely lackluster. And let's not forget, there's an interesting side note of browsing squadrons. Have any of you noticed the fact that you can only see 100 squadrons? Literally, when you go to browse more squadrons,
So
what it
for
does.
each tag, you can only see 100.
Yes,
Wow.
there's no button for seeing all of them.
Yeah.
So you
And
can't
so
see
can-
all
can I
PvP
deliver-
squadrons, for example.
No. When you open,
But
there's
how are they
no
then
button
selected?
for
Just
seeing
randomly?
every squadron without tags, without tag
Gotcha.
association.
I
Can I
gotcha.
deliver the
So either
ultimate?
A, you know the squadron's name that you want to join. B, you've been lucky enough, and the squadron also been lucky enough to set the tags right so it can be
Right.
found,
Right.
or you're shit out of luck.
So can
Right.
I deliver the
Yeah.
ultimate insult
Go.
to squadrons? The sovereignty at the moment is debating whether or not it's actually worth it. We're one of
I
the
mean,
largest and most
explain
active
why.
player groups in because all we are seeing it as at the moment, realistically, is another level of administration.
Yeah, another place to keep track of things that doesn't buy you anything.
And
Right.
we already have a lot of people who do a lot of administration. You know, we're a big organization beyond just Elite Dangerous. Adding in another thing that people need to keep track of is a choice that we have to make. And, you know, this should be a no-brainer, right? We're an active player group in Elite Dangerous, and we're being
Yes.
given group tools. This should be a no-brainer.
Whatever
Yeah,
you're
at
using
the
now
moment-
should be shut off, and this should be what you use from
Right.
going forward. Yeah.
And yet, at the moment, we're not certain it's worth it.
Well, and almost the opposite. You're almost certain it's not. Right.
Yeah.
Um. Well, do we want to continue to beat Yamix's dead horse?
Okay, my final statement on the squadron. So, as I said previously, I was playing with an outfit or a guild or what else in Planetside days, and before that, before that time, I actually avoided, guilds, clans, and what else. Of course, I came from FPS genre background, and it's typical in FPS games to really rarely join, clans and so on and so forth. Normally, at least, more reclusive we are, sort of kind. But regardless, I joined an outfit, and it became the biggest thing in the game. Yes, for a while, the thing that I joined was the biggest, and I was there basically almost from the beginning. And the thing is, I met so many fucking amazing people. I literally saw gaming from a new whole perspective, finding not only just some random dudes to play with, but also someone to just hang out and also learn from. Just making connections and for a nerd and what else, it's perhaps a bit different. But yeah, again, being social, the experiences that I've gotten through, again, guilds and so on and so forth, probably a lot of you, at least those of you that have participated in guilds and what else, will pretty much know what I'm talking about. It's the amazing sort of events you go through, or the things that you do together. It makes so much more memorable and worth more while to play the game. It's not to gush too much about this stuff, but I find squadrons are literally the most important thing for Elite for its longevity. If Elite really wants to go 20 years or something like that, it has to have something to connect people, even when something like Discord doesn't exist, or it has changed, or even when they're just simply picking up the game for the first time and playing it. They will join a squadron suddenly, and those guys will invite the person to whatever tool they use offline to talk to each other. That's why the chat is important. That's again, Squadron to me is a feature that is literally the pinnacle of this update, or the game in general, for its longevity. The other part, of course, would be the refinement of the game, but whatever. And seeing that being basically butchered and being second rated and just half-handed, just half-assed, it's a fucking sad state. I hate it. I fucking hate it, and I will try to fight for it. Oddly.
Well, I mean, I think you guys have heard me say before, I think Frontier's really good at like ticking boxes, right? And I think they've now ticked the box of, we've got squadrons now. Yay. Let's now move on to something else to half-ass do and not ever really come back to. We're finally getting that repass with, exploration and mining, right? Which, obviously we're all pretty happy about. But I think it sucks that we all pretty much agree that a year from now, we're going to be having this exact same conversation, talking about how similar it is still a year later. Right. And, that we still want these features. Yeah. You've been kind of quiet, Prox. What have you got?
Well, I was going to say, we'll see. I think this isn't something, now that Squadrons is in the game, I really don't think that they're going to be able to just let it sit like they have a lot of things
like
for the
SRVs?
last 2 or 3 years.
God, like the crew, like the SRV.
Don't overestimate them or underestimate them.
Yeah, there's just
I just don't think they're going to be able to, because they're eventually, one way or another, if people are actually dissatisfied with it, they're going to get pressured into doing something about it one way or another. Beat the
dead horse, folks. Beat the dead horse. The squeaky wheel gets the grease sometimes.
Yeah, this is one of those times I'd ask you all to beat Yamix. I mean, beat off Yamix. I mean, help Yamix. I mean, Yamix is right about beating off. I mean,
you're dragging the joke. You're already dragging the joke. Sorry, but it's just doesn't work afterwards.
Should we move on to ships?
Yeah, it's about 10 anyways.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna say we've only got a few.
Yeah. Let's talk about ships, and then we can.
Which is okay, because there really isn't a whole lot to go over with on the ships.
No. I think there is.
I don't know, because we've only got So to talk about ships for a moment here, we've got 2 new ones coming in: the Crate Phantom and the Mamba.
Correct.
The Phantom, don't know a whole lot about it because they really did absolutely nothing to really show us what the thing is on stream. The Mamba, we know a little bit more because they were able to fly it for more than 30 seconds before blowing up. So
pathetic. Pathetic, man.
Wait, didn't you just slam yourself into an asteroid there, Yamix?
I did at first, yes. Right now,
just pointing that out. Just pointing that out. Go ahead, Prox.
Damn it! Where did I put my mining? Oh, there it is. Right. Anyway, I don't know. Personally, I'm a little worried because people are excited for the Mamba, but I think it's gonna suck. Just from what I've seen, I just don't know that it's gonna be all that good. It looks freaking awesome, though. I'll give them that.
Looks like a speedboat to me.
It kind of does. It's got that
certainly does.
Racing. It has that whole racing vibe to it. Someone said something earlier about it looking like the Buck Rogers thing. I actually kind of have to agree with that too.
The the pressure cooker, aka the Mamba.
The Great Phantom, though, does anyone else think the back end of that thing looks like the Millennium Falcon?
Oh, of course it does. Does anybody not think it doesn't look like it? Yeah, it looks just like it.
There really isn't. I don't know. I'm kind of at a loss on what to say a whole lot about these things because there's just nothing.
We just
don't know
enough.
anything.
Yeah.
There was no real substance to that stream yesterday to really tell us a whole lot about them.
No, but we have
That's
all
true.
the.
What
We have the hard point. We have the whole internal layout of the ship,
Right.
and we know a little bit about the speed. We have some guesstimates on the maneuverability. I mean, we do know quite a bit. And to sum it up, and I looked into it quite extensively yesterday. The Great Phantom is basically going to be the Crate who got a good old whack with a Nerf hammer. And the Mamba is basically going to be a Fer-lance. I think they actually have the exact same internal loadouts. Almost the same hardpoint loadout. I think you switch the 4 mediums for 2 large and 2 smalls instead. And then it's going to be fast in a straight line, but have less maneuverability than the Fer-lance. There you go.
Well, see, here's the thing that worries me about that, though, is yesterday on stream, they said, quote unquote, engineered, yet its maximum top speed was, hitting right about 480.
Yeah, it
That's
barely
so
could keep
annoying
up.
that they would do that. That they would, it's a little engineered. Well, either tell us unengineered or tell us fully engineered numbers.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right? This half engineered shit doesn't help us at all.
So I don't really know what to think.
It does. It makes this harder to deal with, right?
Yeah,
Which
so
is
I
maybe why they do it. I mean,
maybe, but
they want to keep the mystery because that was the best kept non-secret.
Oh, I know something that interesting happened. This time the reveal of Mamba wasn't given to a fucking PC Games N.
It's true. They got to do it themselves.
Oh my god.
They did get to do it themselves.
That's a surprise.
So I'm just going to say that I fully expect the Great Phantom to replace the Crate as my main combat ship.
Really?
Even though it has less firepower?
Why? Because it's more maneuverable, and the thing that I like most about the Crate is how maneuverable.
Oh, I mean, I agree, but the Crate,
the fact that it's going to be more flingy about
maneuverable.
it.
Well,
Yeah. No,
the Crate's
I'm
already pretty damn maneuverable.
Yeah, right. I'm really looking forward to see what that's able to do. Right. If it lives up to what it's supposed to be, if it's that maneuverable, yeah. I don't mind it taking a little bit longer to kill something if I'm actually enjoying doing it more, right?
And remind everybody, we get these things next Tuesday, we believe, correct?
Or Wednesday.
Tuesday, Wednesday,
Wednesday, something like that.
Whenever Frontier feels like it.
Some point next week.
Yeah, this is a silly question. I was offline. Was the launch this week a day late?
Yes.
Oh
no.
It was Wednesday, not Tuesday, right?
Well,
they never said it would be Tuesday.
Right, saying it's a day
Fair
late
enough.
would be
Fair enough.
if
Fair
they
enough.
had said. Yeah.
Fair enough. But
it was a day later than the initial. Yeah.
It was okay, or a day later than maybe assumptions would have been.
Yeah. It may well be that they actually they do the same thing. This one launches a day later again, and they're doing 8 days per section. But,
okay, I have one last thing that I want you guys' opinion on, and that is if we look back on the last year, I've noticed I decided to call it mediumification of the game. If you look,
you think?
Where I mean, look at the ships we've gotten in this year so far, right? We got the Crusader, Challenger, and what's the other one? Chieftain. Then we got the Crate Mark II. Now we got the Mamba, and we got the Great Phantom. That's 6 medium combat ships, adding to the 3 Federal ships, and the Fer-lance as well, which is also a dedicated combat ship. And you could argue the Python's multi-role ship, so I wouldn't count that. We have a lot of medium combat ships, and I kind of
feel medium class hull tanks too.
And I kind of feel like that Frontier really missed it with the ship launches. They've done a lot of good stuff in this patch, but they really, really missed it with the ship launch, because now we have this patch which is supposed to go in and look at exploration and mining, and here's 2 combat ships. It's almost like they are afraid that the combat crowd is getting bored, and the combat crowd needs a new ship every patch, otherwise they're gonna get bored. Because they've just been launching combat ships. I mean,
I'm with you.
even when they tried, even though they tried.
Hang on. Are we sure that the crate is going to be lumped in as a combat ship, as an example?
Okay.
Do we know what its maximum jump range when it's
Jump range is
high
gonna be
60s.
okay.
high,
if you-
high 60s? That's an Explorer. And Jesus Christ, that's going to be
That definitely is.
That's a better fit out than the DBX or the DBS, right? Because of its
No.
internals.
Well, if we're saying engineered, you can get a DBX to 74.
No, I'm not talking about the jump
But
range. I'm
to
talking
live
about the
with.
fit out. Yeah.
Yes.
The biggest drawback with the DBX and DBS is
yep.
its loadout,
Class
right?
4s. Yep, totally.
This allows for a far greater loadout. That's a huge jump range.
But
still,
okay, so
right?
so you want a medium exploration ship with a good internal loadout? Get yourself an Asp Explorer.
But
Oh,
not
you
everyone
want a
wants
trade
to
ship?
fly
Get
the
yourself a
Asp.
Python.
Well, if you want to answer that, then we've already got the best at everything in game. Why should Frontier ever put a new ship in?
We don't have a dedicated ship that is like dedicated to, let's say, mining. And they just did a huge mining update. Why did they not add
Type
a ship?
7?
Sorry?
I mean, I
how-
get what
Type 7?
Astro's saying.
That will depend on what happens with the meta, right? It may turn out that one ship does shine above everything else. as
Why
a
do we
miner.
still not have a medium class trade ship? Like a dedicated trader that's medium class.
It's type
Right.
6.
Type
Python?
6 is
Python.
wait,
Yeah,
no,
but-
that's
well, yeah,
multi-role.
but-
Python's
Type
not
6 is
dedicated.
actually a medium. Type
Type
6 is actually a medium.
I thought it was
Is
a
Type
small.
6 medium? I thought it was
No,
small.
it's a small.
It's a
small?
medium.
Type
It's a
6 is a
medium.
medium.
See,
Type 7
I
is
was,
large.
we were talking about this the other night, and it turns out a Viper is a small. So are we sure a Type
Yeah.
6?
Yes, I'm
So-
Yes, of
I'm
course a
positive
Viper's
it's
a
a
medium.
medium.
I was sure a
It lands on
Viper-
medium pads.
I'll be honest, I was sure a Viper was a medium. I'm not gonna lie. I
No,
know
Viper's
Type
a
7
medium.
is a large. My chat's saying Type 6 is a medium.
It
but
is a
then no,
medium.
it's now
Type 6 is a
disagreeing with it.
medium?
Now it's disagreeing
Okay,
with
so then
itself.
why don't we have, my Type 6 is a medium. Why don't we
Yeah,
have a
okay.
small dedicated trader then? Like,
Hauler,
I mean,
Asp,
I would like to
Hauler,
see
Adder.
more,
Hauler, Adder.
like, okay, but more, right? Like,
Exegious.
to Astro's
Exegious.
point, we've got enough medium class combat ships, right? If you're going to give
I
us
ha-
new ships, give us something new.
I have a small ship that is a trader. The best or biggest cargo space for a small ship out there.
What is it, a hauler? It's not the hauler, is it?
No, it's even worse than that. Can you guess what that is?
No, tell me.
Cobra 4!
Oh God.
God.
Is it the biggest trader?
Yes, it has the
Small
biggest
class.
cargo space, and that's literally the only draw for Cobra 4.
That disgusts
Yeah.
me so much. How can you
Right.
how can you even perch your backside inside that ship? I'd feel ill.
Right.
So
Anyways,
okay.
Right.
But yes,
quickly
back to
answer,
Astros.
Astro's
yeah.
yeah,
So
question,
my point is, I would really like to see. I mean, they're beginning to do it with passenger ship, where you have like internal compartments that are dedicated to passenger cabins, so that it doesn't
Right.
get too overpowered on other things. You could do the exact same thing with a mining ship, where you would have dedicated hardpoints that could only fit the mining equipment, the mining tools. Then you could have a
Yeah.
ship that wouldn't
Comes
be
with a
overpowered.
refinery.
Yeah, it would have internals that could only fit refineries and cargo holds, and maybe like limit controllers and stuff like that. Then you would have a ship that wouldn't be overpowered in terms of this combat capabilities because of a huge amount of hard points, because we're going to need a huge amount of hard points now for mining. We're going to need at least 5 to make this thing a semi-viable build. And that's a lot to ask for a ship with a decent cargo hold as well. So I would really love to see if they would have done something like that.
Quick note on the passenger things, though. They have done away with the passenger-specific things. The Orca and Beluga,
Yeah.
Dolphin, those things are now no restricted
normal
slots.
compartments.
Oh, really? Okay, I haven't noticed
Yeah.
that.
Yes, that was
Which is
one of
nice.
the new changes.
Which
It's
means I
nice.
actually
I'd say
have
so.
to consider the Beluga is useful. Shit!
And it also means
Not
the
really.
the beluga and the orca and the dolphin, because like let's be honest, from an aesthetic point of view, there are a certain subset of people that are like, yeah, they're the best looking ships in the game. Yeah, and you
they
can
are
understand
very
why.
smooth and very,
Oh, there, yeah.
wonderful.
Not everyone
Like
will agree
dildos.
with you. Some people will claim that the federal ship. I've seen it happen. Right, it's true. Some people claim the federal ships are pretty.
Yes.
Yeah, just to prove
Yes, they are-
that
they are pretty. Fuck you
attractiveness
if you don't
is
think.
subjective, right? Yeah, attractiveness is subjective. Yeah, my
Yeah,
wife to me
Corvette
is
is
the most
the prettiest
beautiful
ship
woman
in
in
the
the world,
game.
right? No, it's
Yes,
vile.
yes,
It's a
yes.
tin can.
You're vile. That's it. You're anaconda. is
Imperial Eagle.
vile.
Imperial Eagle all day long.
Oh, hang on. Are we talking about the best looking ship in the game? For
Best
me,
looking
it's...
ship in the game. Imperial
Okay,
Eagle.
if we're gonna do this very quickly, the courier. For me, the courier.
Courier's not
Oh
bad.
God,
I
It doesn't
adore
look great.
those.
Fertilance.
It doesn't look great. The
Fertilance.
Fertilance. Oh,
It look. Yeah, no, not a fan of the aesthetic of the
is
Fertilance.
awful.
I love the look of the courier. Yeah.
See, the Courier, the back end
If
of
we're
it's
just
not
going on
right.
aesthetics.
Yeah, exactly. The front or the wings is just
Something just
Oh,
not quite.
if we're
Courier, yeah.
if we're talking about back ends, you've got to talk about the cutter, right?
Yes.
No,
Yes,
this
the cutter.
yeah,
Yes,
I
yeah,
agree.
you do.
I
If
agree.
if we're talking about back ends, you have to talk about
Yeah,
the cutter.
see, I'm not a cutter guy in the slightest.
Or we could talk about the prettiest ship in the game. He says with the biggest kappa face ever, the
Clipper.
Type 10.
Yeah. I might say the Clipper is the best looking large ship in my opinion.
No, it's missing. If you're comparing that, then definitely Cutter has way better
You
proportions.
think? Oh,
Yes,
not to my eyes.
proportion-wise, it does.
I have
No,
to be
see, I think
honest.
the proportions are better in the Clipper.
I love the mullet of
It
the
has a-
Anaconda. That it's all
Oh, God.
it's
It's
all
a mullet.
no, yeah, the Anaconda's a mullet. It's all well, it's an inverse mullet, yeah. It's all like flamboyant on top and then business underneath, right? No, it is a mullet. Flamboyant on top,
Fair enough,
business
fair enough,
underneath, yeah.
Well, I think we
It's a
just
space. It's a space mullet.
date, hairstyles of 3304 by DJ.
Yeah, they don't go in and ask for a
anyway.
mullet anymore. They go in and ask for an Anaconda.
Since we are at the end of our time together, should we go around and wrap up?
Actually, I can quickly answer the reason why there are so many medium ships. Pure and simple, they lack imagination. The problem is that when
easy.
you look at the price range within Elite Dangerous, you're gonna see huge price gaps within medium ship range, and that's why mostly medium ships you are seeing right now. But personally, I just like everyone else here, I'm just questioning why developers have chosen to actually put out fucking combat ship after combat ship. I mean, the only break in that fucking line was the goddamn crate. It is the only medium multi-role ship that was released. It literally is a Python. That all the things in it are the same, aside from one less optional internal, literally, and fighter bay. That's it. Everything else is the same. Well, few maneuverability and speed differences, but whatever. It's the same fucking thing. And then the goddamn Alliance special kids trio is just what? And what else did we got? Oh, we got the fucking Type 10. And I'm still trying to understand what was the point of putting out Type 10 aside from just that initial week of Targoidness.
The memes. They could put a spoiler on a spoiler.
Oh, fuck
exactly.
off! No.
I heard you like spoilers,
no.
dog. So I get spoilers for your spoilers.
Oh, and you shouldn't talk Peroxide, you piece of shit. For reference, those of you that don't know, Peroxide just gifted, well, a little while back, gifted me the double spoiler ship kit, just so I would be forced to use it. You fucking piece of shit. I hate it already.
That's
You're welcome.
Yeah, makes
Love
it
it,
suits
but
you.
goddammit.
You should style your hair into it in real life.
Fuck off.
You should walk around with a spoiler
So-
for your
So
spoiler in real life.
how many spoilers do you think we can put on the Mamba then if it's gonna be a racing car?
Oh man, it's gonna have to have a go faster spoiler, doesn't it?
To be honest, if the ship
Red
kit of
stripes.
that doesn't make it vaguely look like a Formula 1 car, I will be disappointed.
And to me, it looks very like yacht, like speedboat yacht with the
Yeah, I
T,
agree on that.
the powerboat kind of thing. Which I think from that aspect looks good. I'm curious to see what the cockpit's going to be like, specifically what the visibility will be like in VR. That's kind of my biggest question at the moment.
I know this is
from what I
not
saw
at
the-
all what we're talking about, but I just found me an asteroid at 45% platinum. This makes me happy.
Oh, that is a good find.
I had a few.
That's
I have a few
that's some
40%.
sequitur there.
Had a few 40% pay night, which was pretty good.
I've seen a 47% pay night in the past.
I
It's
found
best
one
ever.
yesterday that it was like 60-something% pay night. I literally
You
got 12 tons
lying.
off of one.
Oh,
No,
mine
you
was
can ask my
65,
guys. I got like 12
Mine
tons
was
off of pay
65.
night.
I mean, no,
Oh
yeah.
god,
It's
penis
ridiculous.
measuring contest much?
I'm kidding.
Yes.
I did
No,
get
I
in
shit
my
myself because
alt
I spent
account.
10 hours trying to unlock Celine Jean 2 years ago.
Oh yeah,
And,
yeah.
yesterday I did it with one asteroid. I was so
You know,
pissed.
I did it when I did it in my alt account. I was able to unlock it with one asteroid. Right. And I don't know what the yield was. It wasn't 60%, but it was up there.
Oh, it
Anyway, why don't we, since we are coming to a close here, just kind of run back through, kind of through our thoughts real briefly, and then what's coming next week. I will say the premise or the preview for next week is, as we said, the new ships. Is there anything else officially on the schedule?
Not that I
Nope,
know
I
of.
mean, I'm
No.
sure
And
there
the
will
last
be
week has nothing as
something.
well.
But
Right.
there will be stuff they haven't showed us.
And the other thing, as you
Well-
close out, what is your prediction on when it launches? I'm going to start with my prediction is Tuesday, the 11th of December. It might be the 4th, but I'm going to go with the 11th of December. In short, not to beat the horse too much here because we've all said a
Yay.
lot. I think the gameplay in general is very nice changes. The balance is laughably bad. Squadron seems completely and totally dead on arrival. Other than that, if they can work out this, the pay things, the drop rates of the mother load asteroids, so far, I continue to be happy. The exploration changes are great. So far, I worry that it is not enough, right? I think we've all heard the comment of if chapter 4 isn't, insert
Yes.
greatest thing here. Right. I don't know that it can live up to that kind of stuff.
Oh, it
but
can't.
I mean,
hasn't
no,
already.
arguably it can't. But how close can it get or not? And I think that the biggest worry that I still have is we haven't gotten to any of the negative changes specifically. We've mentioned a few times here board flipping and what the implications of that's going to be. I still worry that there's going to be something like that that's going to be so bad that it's going to crush it. And just a quick question, I haven't been yet. Has anybody been to the Dweller? Have they fixed it where he engineers everything yet?
No,
No, I haven't checked.
I don't know.
No, okay, no, you don't know.
Is
Okay.
that a broken thing, or is that because they tend to have?
Every other beta they've unlocked the Dweller for us, and the Dweller did all blueprints, so you didn't have to go grind unlocks. And this time they didn't. They give us all the
Well,
grade
to
5,
be
all the
fair,
materials.
they're not trying to get us to engineer.
No, I
this time
understand.
round, are they?
I
So-
understand. But at the same time, if they're going to give us on a reset,
They're gonna give
every
us shit, so
single
we want to test
material-
them with engineer
And that's
shit.
the
Well,
other thing,
maybe
too.
maybe next week they will do, yeah,
Right,
so that you can
that's-
engineer.
well,
that would make
exactly,
sense.
exactly.
Yeah,
And it
from
might,
a
but-
controlling gameplay point of view, which
Yeah, but
is
it
what
still
they're doing in
doesn't
a
make
beta.
sense to give me all of the materials just like an engineer. Give me one engineer who is a first stage, but give me one engineer who randomly does distributors at grade 5 and power plants at 3 or 4, right? And that's all you give me, and you're not going to give me somebody like Felicity. I call oversight, right, and think that it was just an oversight. So I'll go check later. But yeah, why don't we go down? I've shared my thoughts, so I'll shut up now. DJ, close us out. What are your thoughts?
Mining needs to pay more. Squadrons are useless. I like the Mamba. It looks pretty. I like pretty things. Crate Phantom, if it lives up to what I hope to, will become my main combat ship, so I'm pretty happy. Only problem is Squadrons. It's just a waste of time at the moment. It really is, and it hurts me to say it.
Yeah. Astro?
Yeah, gonna be pretty much the same thing. Mining definitely needs a boost in payout. I've been sitting here for like an hour and a half, and I think I made a grand total of 5 million credits.
Oh
So-
God, I haven't even gotten close to that. That's great.
Oh, I'm a veteran miner, remember? Anyway,
So basically 2 hours, 5 million, 2.5 million an hour. Oh wow.
yes, something
Yeah.
like that. Squadrons,
Such
yeah,
credits, much
I would agree. Squadrons are pretty dead on arrival. I mean, it is pretty much just allows you to put a tag on your ship so you can see that you belong to the same group, and that's about it. Exploration changes, really like them. Ship launch, meh.
Yeah, good sum up. Parox?
Mining, I think it has the potential to be awesome. Needs a balanced payout and payouts, and just in general. Squadrons has the potential to be useful. We'll see what happens in the long run, because like its initial form right now, I think is very much, first iteration, and they're going to build on it as time goes on. Ships, I'm a little worried about the Mamba. Heat generation on it is terrible. Crate Phantom looks interesting, but I am going to reserve my final judgment on them for when I actually get my hands on them to see what they're really like in my hands versus Frontiers. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, and Yamix, you want to take us out with a good old final Yamix rant?
Right, I'll try to be short or as brief as I can. Right, so mining. Unlike you guys, I don't expect developers to be capable of balancing it. I will hold my rather huge pessimism or even just outright negativity towards their capabilities, and again, in the past they haven't shown to me that they are capable of doing something like that, and that is rebalance a whole gameplay to actually be worthy in comparison to say missions that are currently the most paying gameplay in the game. So basically it has come to the worst thing that I was kind of afraid of, more fiddle fuckery around for basically less or equal pay. It's bad. That's bottom line. Squadrons, I just fuck me. And ships, and ships, I'd say the easiest thing to push out. The last week basically will have nothing. Devs seem to be dragging or stalling for time. I don't know why. And speaking of the last thing, the release date of this update might be closer to XCGS's thing, but considering that, okay, let's say developers completely fuck the pooch and decide to release on the last week or second to last week of the year of the year, basically, aside from 31st week, right? That means that the whole holiday week, that is the 24, 25 and so forth, nothing will be fixed, most likely. So that would be horrible if developers released in any of the dates starting with 17th. And they literally just, even if they release at the 11th or 12th or the week of the 10th December, right? If they release it then, even then they basically have very little time, if at all, to fix anything. And for the foreseeable future, for the holiday weeks, expect the game to be actually pretty bad. Unfortunately, that's my estimate, and I would brace for shitfest. That would be my report on the weather there. Back to you, Arceus.
Well, one thing somebody in my chat said, and if you guys notice anything we forgot, chime in, is we didn't mention scenarios, as we were kind of talking about new stuff. We did forget that, right? And, the little bit I've done with scenarios that they've seemingly worked, does seem cool, right? I think there's some potential there. We've got to see how, when it's not buggy, when it's actually, functional. But yeah, so if there aren't any other thoughts, did we miss anything else, guys? Anybody else think of it?
I forgot to give a prediction, and I'm going to go for the 6th of December. Thursday, the 6th of December.
The 6th of December. And Astro, Proxim, what do you guys votes?
Let me look.
I think they're going to try to push it out as close as they can to X4 on the 30th. That's very early, but I think they're going to press for something as close to that as possible.
So X4 comes out on Friday the 30th, you're saying?
Yeah.
So you're thinking as early as the 29th?
They will try to uppercut them, or whatever the saying was. Yeah.
I'm going to say December 4th, which is a Tuesday.
Yeah, okay, that's the Tuesday after X4 launches.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah, Yemix, when did you say again?
I didn't say. That's the thing I was about to say.
I'm writing all these down now.
Yeah, my expectation, honestly, is... I'd say the stupidest week would be the 17th week, but my prediction, 13th December.
And I was saying the
11th. You said 11th.
That was I was saying the 11th. Yep. Okay. So X The 11th. You're saying
I have
the
the
13th? Is that what we just
I
said?
have the least sort of a hope for Frontier to actually. Or
And
rather,
Astro, what did
developers
you
of
say?
it.
I didn't get you, Astro.
Let me look at the actual calendar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let me see. So it's ending there. 1 week to fix shit. I'm guessing the 4th. Someone guessed the 4th as well, right? I think it was
Yeah,
Peroxim.
Peroxim's got the 4th. I mean, you know, you could split it with him.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
Peroxim,
I'll share.
we'll split the price when
Yeah,
you win.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
works for
you know,
me.
I was just about to say, I think what I was just thinking I would do is, I know I've got a couple things I can give away. Maybe whoever wins, you know, we'll give their viewers something like that.
Oh, okay? Well, fair enough.
You know, we'll think of something.
Oh, I like
Yeah,
it. I like
something
it. I like it. We're
interesting.
competing as channels now, are we?
Yeah, right. You know, whoever gets the
Time to go and bribe Frontier.
we
Also-
get something out of it.
With everything that's been going on with us all lately with this, are we going to do something when Frontier do their big yearly charity thing? Which
I
they
have no plans.
I mean us as a round table. Should we do
Sure.
something for that?
Sure,
I
sure.
just need to know when it is because from the 3rd to the 11th of December, I will be out of town.
Okay, so since we're doing live
Okay,
planning,
so I don't know anything. Yeah,
Yeah.
of course I don't. Yeah, but my prescience tells me that you're fine.
Okay.
Okay, you don't need to worry.
All right. Fair enough.
But I thought it would be nice.
Is that
if
the
we,
charity
as
thing
the
they're
round
doing
table,
once a year?
Yeah, they'll be doing a thing.
would it be completely out of place to ask Frontier? Well, do you want to do a roundtable on the charity thing? I mean,
They don't allow us as influencers onto their channel. However, they tend to come on.
of course not.
And well, they used to, but things happen.
Which thing? So mine.
To be honest with you, I think it was more. I don't think any one thing. I think it was just they decided that it was probably a bit more sensible not to have random people on their official channel, which is understandable, right? And as well as that, with 3 titles now, they can easily fill 24 hours worth of content from FDev HQ, right? Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Whereas when it first started, that wasn't the case. There was just one title. It was just Elite
and
when
they've
it
got
started.
such quality game players over there too that, you know. Sorry.
Wow. Anyway,
I made it this far without being very salty.
Yeah,
today.
right. But what I was thinking is, if when they announce that date, we organise a special roundtable for that night, and as many of us come along as possible, and I don't know, we'll do something special and try and raise some money because it is for a wonderful cause, right? Special effects are a great cause. I don't think there's anyone that's going to disagree with that.
I disagree.
Well, Exegius,
I'm kidding, of course.
you smell.
That would be pretty shitty because
That's such a comeback, DJ. Yeah.
I know,
Bravo.
right? I'm gonna be a complete
deserves it.
adult. You smell.
Bravo.
whatever you say.
Yeah,
I'm
Mix,
rubber.
thank you. I'm honoured. but
Okay, so
but yeah, I
Yeah,
think
sure.
that's something we'll try and do, right? Like
that sounds great to me. Sure, of course. I'm sure that we'd have enough, audience would be interested in that as well. So yeah, of course.
Sorry to lay that
All
on you
right.
live, but I like
No.
doing that because it puts you all in a spot where you're like, ah, shit, I'm live and this is public, and it's fun.
I'm good.
I got shit to do. I ain't got time for charities.
But we don't have a date
everyone
for that
else
yet,
will
do we?
sound better in front of
There you go.
that
There you go.
quote. Come on. Now you don't
Okay,
have any
well-
pressure on you, right?
I love you all.
Let's wrap this up. Thanks to everybody for listening. We'll be doing this next week. Ant had to obviously miss us today, but I'm guessing he plans to be back next week. So if you guys know how to reach us on our respective channels, is everybody staying around to stream
Yes.
a little longer? I am.
Yeah, see, I'll be streaming a little.
I want to
bit
see how
longer.
much credit I actually made from this 2-hour mining trip in the
Yeah,
beaches.
Also-
and so
can
and
you-
somebody, by the way, somebody just said on my stream they checked the dweller, no change. So he's only engineering his first 2, so that's unfortunate. Yeah, DJ, what were you about to say?
No, it's gone.
I had
Okay,
something.
okay.
Don't worry. It's
Sorry.
not
Okay.
important.
Okay.
I'm sorry. No, it's my fault.
No, that's cool. I was going to say my thanks to DJ,
Hi. Thank you, everyone. Be amazing.
Down to Earth Astronomy,
Thanks for having me.
for Roxham,
Hello and goodbye, everybody, and thanks for having me on.
and the great and powerful one.
Yes. Thank you and good night. Also, enjoy your Fridays.
Yeah, thanks everybody. We'll see you guys. We'll see you guys next week.
To the
Yep.
beans, gentlemen. Be
See ya.
amazing.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
See you later.
Okay, we're off Discord, and as I said, I'm gonna be streaming for a little bit longer. I just want to finish this trip up. There's been some questions in chat, and as I said at the beginning of the stream, I know a lot of you guys weren't around at the beginning of the stream, but doing the roundtable normally don't reply to that many questions in chat, but I've tried to keep up by writing it. Somebody asked if I found any features or crackable asteroids. I have not, but again, I am in the Paynite hotspot in Delcar 7, which is probably the most mined spot in the beta, so I would probably expect, since all this carries over and I'm in solo and all that stuff, I would probably expect that to, this area has already been pretty heavily mined, and people have especially been looking for those features, so yeah. Let me see. Oh, there's a good one up there. That one looks interesting. But I'm just going to give it until, I think, a half past, and then we're going to head back. And then see how much we made. We have to find a good system to sell this in, because we don't have live data on it. So that's going to be a little more difficult. But we're getting there. Almost approaching 100 tons of paynite, which is actually pretty good. Problem is, we completed half an orbit of this planet. We started on the sunny side. Now we're all the way over on the dark side, so it's really difficult to see anything. I know we have dark vision, but if you turn on dark vision, spotting these asteroids, the colors of the asteroids get distorted, and it's a lot more difficult to see which one is actually the intense one. So I'll probably just be using the pulse wave scanner. Oh, come on. So that one's not interesting. I think the cutter for a mining ship is a little bit too... oh, that's a lot of palladium. Let's just quickly... let's just get that. I think it's a little bit too sluggish for me when it comes to all this moving around the asteroids. So you take this one for now, for instance, right? If I'm moving over here, I need to go and shoot that thing. I would probably want to have some ship lights for this. External lights on. Even though I have all Pips 2 engines, I have 8A thrusters, and they're engineered for maneuverability. It's still very sluggish to move around here, and then, of course, the issue with the blaster being all the way over here at the side, so I have to, like, aim it like that to hit anything. And now the most annoying one, which are the subsurface ones. Luckily, this one's not turning that quickly, so hopefully this is a little bit easier. And this one is aiming... Oh, it's up there. Okay, fair enough. Drilling, drilling, drilling. Release. And see if we can hit with another one. Nope, there we go, it died. There's nothing left in there. What was in this asteroid again? I wanted to mine that. Yes, I did want to mine that. Let's go and collect that. Oh, there's actually some... I didn't even notice. There's all paynite in this, and osmium. This is really good, right? This one, actually. Yeah, so, okay, so the trick is, when you look for a mining ship, what I'm looking for in a mining ship now is, I want to have 3 hard points, at least one small, and then at least 4 hard points of a medium class. If it's a medium class ship, we'll probably do with 5 hard points then, because I would need the 3 weapons, a mining laser, and some other weapon that I can use to take down if I get, like, if a ship comes in and decides to attack me in the middle of a trip here. So that's 5 hard points. How much does the Python actually have? I think that might just be good enough on the Python. Let me just see here. Coriolis Python. Yeah, so the Python will just do. We can just make it work on the Python. So that is definitely an interesting ship. Having that extra maneuverability seems to be... I mean, hitting all these different spots was a lot easier when I tried out the Python yesterday than when I'm doing it today. And I find it very... You have seen it during the live stream when I was firing off these drill missiles. How many of them were missing because they're sitting out there on the nacelles, or whatever they're called, on the side of the ship. Making it very difficult to aim. So having a ship where we can, like, pull them in closer, so they're closer to the center line of the ship, it's gonna make it a lot easier to use. So I definitely think that's something I would be looking into. So I would definitely say if we're gonna go exactly but a Cobra 4, not everybody has access to the Cobra 4. What do we have in small ships here? Let's actually have a look here. We just get this over here so you guys can follow along. So here we pretty much have all the ships, and you can't see half of the screen, so let's just do like that. Have a lead there in the background. So let's sort this by size. Now we have all the small ships here at the top. So we would need something with at least... So we have something here, that's the Cobra 4. Diamondback Scout, no. So pretty much only the Cobra 4 is a vibe. Unless you want to go without weapons. You could go without weapons and only use 4. Then you could go with either with a Cobra 3 you could go with. Diamondback Scout, probably not enough internals. Vipers, low on internals too. So I would probably consider going with a normal Cobra. If you have access to the Cobra 4, definitely go with that. But yeah. Yeah, again, but again, medium ships, Python, and if you go with a higher, the large ship, Anaconda, because I think if I gotta build the large ships, I would probably go with a ship with more maneuverability. But if we look at this, I started out with, I think, 300 limpets, right? Yeah, about 300 limpets I think I started out with, and that means... I'm just going to quickly calculate how much ore I have in my hold then. I have 368 minus 1. I have 100 and... Really? I do, okay. Exactly half. I have 184 tons of material in my cargo hold. And I actually think I could have that in my Python as well. It's not a whole lot. And this is over a 2-hour mining trip. And that's probably fine. If I have to go back every 2 hours in a Python, I would probably consider that a Python is the better choice. We can see there, something exploded over there. A rock has already been destroyed. Now all my collectors are dying. Let's keep heading in towards the... I want to give it the last, just one more rock, and then we're going to head back and see how much we actually made. It's a lot of rocks, lights up over in this area here. See if we can find a good one. Incoming, no. Collect salvage, no. But again, I mean, I've been mining for 2 hours. I haven't found a single deep core. But again, I guess that's because I'm in a very, very heavily mined area. Okay, we have 3 rocks here, and there's also one over there that looks interesting. We have that one there. And these ones up here, I'm gonna try to prospect those and see what we get. I think it's that one there. Try to prospect this. Does it say scan complete? Oh, look at that. We've got painite and platinum in that one. And we also got some surface deposits on this one. We got 2 subsurface and 2 normal surface deposits. Let's start by start by getting some collectors out. Like this. Oh, I'm shooting prospectors now. Oops. There we go. Okay, let's begin to shoot these off. So first we're gonna get the blaster. Come on. Oh, I think it's bugged. Oh, it's because we're aiming at the wrong spot. Fair enough. Need to hit that thing there. Okay, that one is bugged, so we can't shoot that. That hit it square on. Okay, so that's bugged. That doesn't work. Oh, we're out of missiles again. You know what? Fuck all those deposits. I'm just gonna mine this asteroid in the old-fashioned way. There should be a prospector somewhere I can target. Yeah. GL asked if okay, first of all, I was not at the Frontiers headquarters, and he asked if they're gonna fix VR for PS4. No idea. But as I also mentioned during the live stream, I definitely think that the new as it is right now, the new methods is definitely going to require a mobile ship, and it's going to be a supplement to normal mining. It's not going to be a replacement, unless they really boost the amount of material that comes out of these things. It's going to be a replacement, I think. But let's just finish this asteroid and let's get back. We're just going to sell it in Shinrata. It's probably not the best prices, I know. But it's still going to give us an indication. Maybe we're going to be able to get, like, I don't know, double if we sold it somewhere else. We'll see how bad the prices are in Shinrata. And that's the last bit. So I'll just let the collectors do their thing. There's a lot of platinum and painite here. Look at that. Yeah. But there's definitely some balancing passes. But I think most of the stuff that they need to change for this to be really good is balancing, especially number crunching. And it might be that they have specifically changed the numbers so that it is hot numbers for the build here. Or hopefully they're gonna do a pass on it, doing after the beta has ended. I do expect there's gonna be at least a week of downtime after this beta has ended before it goes live. So yeah. But mining ship wise, I think I'm gonna go back to the Python. I think that's gonna be a really good ship for it. I think it's gonna be a good choice. Maybe I'm gonna do an Anaconda, but I think Cutter, that's not gonna do it for me. I mean, it's been okay, but I would definitely have loved to see. I would definitely love to see some more maneuverability and some more speed in the ship. Simply because now that when we do these pulse waves, you can see here, because the cutter is so slow that if I scan this and I spot an asteroid out there in the distance that looks pretty good, for instance, oh, there's one back there that maybe that's interesting or something like that. Oh, there's one right there, for instance. Wow, that's really bright. Have I prospected that? So because if I spot some things far away, I would rather spend my time just to fly over there quickly and then use that rather than going for these not as good asteroids. Oh, where does my prospector go? There it is. Oh, it's pure gold. There's all the gold. I don't know. Gold is not, I mean, it is valuable, but 10,000 for 30? Nah, don't want to go for that. Let's get out of this build. Let's get back to Shinrata. Right there. There we go. I'm not out of the build yet. I can imagine that. I mean, I actually thought that it would have been working. They're referring to the VR on PS4. Yeah, I think Python's gonna be, at least I'm gonna have to do some more testing, but I think Python's gonna be the new meta. What's interesting now, what it will do now is this was about 2 hours from when I dropped into the ring to the left again. This has been around 2 hours. And what I think it'll do is sometime here over the weekend, I'll set up another mining stream where I'm going to be mining, doing the exact same thing, but I'm going to do it in the Python. We're going to go to the same location, and we're going to do this thing over again. And then we're going to see what happens with in terms of payout, because we're going to write down now how much I made on this trip, and I'm going to use that as an indicator. I know it's not an exact science, just 2 hours of mining, but if it turns out that the Python trip yields, let's see, 50% extra than I do now, then it is enough of a change that I would consider that being so significant that I would simply say Python is a better choice. I'm trying to get a pen to work here. I also tried to do it during the live stream. I don't know if any of you guys noticed this, but I was trying to get a pen to work. But this one is clearly not. Oh. I have another pen. Let's try that. Oh, let's slow down a bit here. So this was a cutter. 2 hours of mining. This pen is dying as well. Wonderful. And now we're going to head back. We're going to see how much we're going to get from James Memorial. Because we're then going to sell the same station tomorrow. I know prices vary within not tomorrow, but when I do the stream, I don't know if it's going to be tomorrow, it's going to be whatever it's going to be. But when I do the Python testing, the Python mining test, then we'll see how much that is. We're going to sell it, mine the same location, sell the same station. Notepad is the best. Big haul of that. Surprised you made it this far. Oh god. We got an incoming pirate. He's not behind us yet, so we're going to take a bit of a trip around the station here. Just to change location. We can see him now. Gonna try to make sure he's not going to get in behind us. We're really close to the station, so we're just going to line us up here. See, there he is. We can now see him. I think that's him right there. Nope, it was not. Wonderful. What's he flying? Elite Fertilance? Ah. If it was something else than a Fertilance, then fair enough, but it's just going to be a turning war. But it's kind of outrun a Fertilance. I think we'll be able to outrun a Fertilance. But we're just going to run. Did they make limpets unlimited? No. Here's Astro sitting in front of at least 2. That's actually only one. I only said 1 computer, but 2 monitors. But yes, searching around for a pen. If you've been following the channel for a while, you know that I like to do stuff the old-fashioned way. I mean, when I'm doing large-scale engineering builds, I put all the materials into a spreadsheet and I manually transfer over everything, even though there's lots of tools out there. But stuff like that, it is... I like to do those things like the old-fashioned way. So, okay, guesses in chat. How much are we going to make? I'm going to give you guys a quick overview of my cargo hold here. We have 17 tons of platinum, 8 tons of gold, and here's a big load here, 84 tons of painite. I need to get used to that new UI. Oh, Nacelle got stuck there. Ship lights? Nope. Nope, that's night vision. I don't know where I put ship lights. I moved that to make room for night vision. Oh, did I put it here? No. Okay, never mind. So, currently on this server, I am sitting on 4,117,000,000. Oh, that's nice. 117,000. And we've got to forget about those small thingies there. We're not going to buy refuel in that now. So, it's time to sell. Let's see what we get. Gotta sell all the gold. Yeah. The money's gonna be in the painite. That's where the majority is gonna come from. Sell that. Sell all the silver. And here's the big one. Let's see how much that is. 5 million. Hell yeah. Okay, let's get a calculator here. 1, 2, 3. 4 minus 7. So we made a total of 6.35. Come on, pen. 6.35 million. Maybe that's not the best. There we go. 6.3. Okay, this is a fuck. This post is a sick. It needs to die. So, cutter, 2 hours, 6.35 mil. Take that post-it and put it like there, maybe? No? Okay, I'm gonna put it here on the screen so that somewhere it's not in the, okay, everywhere it's in the way. I'll put it over here. There we go. And we'll test that out over the weekend to see. Yes, 6.3 mils in 2 hours. But I think it's gonna be higher. I think if I'm lucky, if I'm a little bit focused, I think I can hit anywhere between 8 and 10 in the Python. Yes, I agree. It should be 10 million per hour would be more acceptable. Anyway, Python mining is gonna be, again, as I said, this weekend. Before we end though, I have a little thing I want to show you, and this is gonna be a little spoiler for an upcoming video that's gonna be pretty soon. If you've been following this channel and been sticking around, and you watched my live stream, I think it was last weekend, you will know what this is about. We find this deploy. Okay, so here it is. Oh, let me get this over here. Let me get this there. Let's mute that one. Okay, so here is a small tool that I've been working on. And it's basically, if we just launch it here, like so. It's a small multi-stop route planner, as the small splash screen says here. And I'm gonna publish this tool so you can get your hands on it yourself. And I'm also gonna do a video guide on it so you know how it works and what it does. But basically, this small tool here, it allows you to go and search up a system. Let's say we want to find Shinrata. Oh, if I could actually spell here. Shinrata. Oh. There we go. Shinrata Desra. I could search that up and add that to the route. And if I want more waypoints, for instance, let's say I also want to go to, let's say I want to go to one of the engineers. Then we have the engineers down here. I want to go to Elvira Matuk, add her to the route. I want to go to Ramtar. I want to go to, I don't know, let's say Dav's Hope, which we have down here. And I also want to go to Jameson's Crash Cobra. And finally, I want to go to Palin and Maya, just for the fun of it. There we go. These are all the places I need to go, for instance. And we could say I am now currently in Shinrata, and I also want to end up back here in Shinrata as well. That's going to be my start, my end point. And you can see right now that the total route length, so actually is 1,000 light years. If I optimize this route a bit, it's slightly longer, but that's because it's sending me back to Shinrata. Of course, didn't that before. But what it does is it finds the shortest possible route between all those systems. I assume we can edit our common destination. Yes, you can. Those can be edited. You need to go in and change the file somewhere, but I'm going to show that in the video. And of course, you can go and you can save your route if you want to. Here's another route I made for testing purposes. Oh no, I don't want to overwrite it. Cancel. I want to open. Yes, I don't want to save this route, and I should call this. And you can see here I said, okay, I'm going to start in Quince, I'm going to end in Maya, and then I'm going to visit a few systems in between. current length of this route is 1,424 light years. If I optimize this route, boom, it will say we're going to start in Maya, we're going to end in Quince, which is what we had before. Was it the other way around before? Hold on. Yeah, okay, so start in Maya, end in Quince. I think I just said it wrong. It got optimized the route and says, okay, start in Maya, end in Quince, then we need to go to them in this order, which reduced our total route with about 200 light years. And of course, I said you can save these, as I just showed before, and you can then send them to your friends. So not only can you use this for, your own route plotting, but you can also use it to share routes between you. So if you're gonna do like a long-range exploration trip and you have a ton of like base stations, you could add those in here and then send that off to people so they would have it. Little neat thing is, for instance, if I want to go to here, this is Daph's Hope, I think, the Hydra sector. I just click the small icon out here. Boom. Go into the game. Go in here. Paste it. And there you go. Because when you click that, it automatically sends it to your clip holder. So you easily can get access to those systems. But at least that's going to be a proper video on its own later on. And yes, common locations, as people ask, this can be edited, so you can get other stuff. Just in the bubble, no, this works in all systems. So this works on all systems in Elite. And the autocomplete that I just showed you before only works for systems in and around the bubble. I haven't loaded all the systems in the whole galaxy, so I'm only loading the systems that are in or around the bubble. So if you're moving outside the bubble, you will not have this autocomplete feature, but there's nothing that prevents you from putting in... there's nothing that prevents you from putting in, let's say, Beagle Point and add that to your route. And no, Robert, it does not pull from EDDB, it pulls off EDSM. How do you load all systems in the galaxy? I load all... you have access to all known systems in the galaxy. So all systems that have been discovered, which is about 220 million something. I can actually tell you exactly how many that is. We take this file here. And if you ever wonder why I don't load it, this is the file containing all systems, all known systems in Elite. 2.8 gigs. I don't want to load that and format all that data. Is it just... Yeah, too big for Notepad. You cannot open the... Okay, so that didn't even want to open the file because it was too big. Maybe Notepad? No? No, okay. So they won't even open the file because it's just too big. Ultraedit would probably do it, but I don't have the license for it anymore. My trial ran out. So, yeah. Anyway, that's gonna come later on, hopefully later this week. And again, this is gonna be completely open source. So if you go in here, you can see all the scripts that are used. So if you're interested in seeing exactly what the different scripts does, nothing prevents you from just opening it up. And for some reason, it always fucks up my syntax highlighting here. You can just open up it and you can see the code and what it does. And yeah, so completely open source. Anyway, that's going to come a lot later. Use Visual Studio Code. Nope. Yes. Anyway, that's all gonna come later. You're gonna get access to this. I think I got everything sorted out now. And it's gonna be something I'm gonna expand upon. I have other ideas for more programming projects that I want to do. But yeah. Anyway, I am gonna call the stream for now and get something to eat. It's now almost 10 o'clock in the evening and I haven't had dinner yet, so I'm a little bit hungry now. So we're gonna go and find something to eat. And I hope I'll see you guys for whatever the live stream is going to be this weekend. I'm not exactly 100% sure when that's going to be, whenever it fits into my calendar. So thanks a lot for watching. I should remember to switch over to my end scene now that we're doing this. There we go. If you like this stream, remember to give it a like down below. If you are on Twitch, follow over there. If you're on YouTube, go down and click that subscribe button. And remember that a lot of the stuff, many of the cameras and lights and microphones, most of that stuff is paid for by the people supporting me on Patreon or making donations during the live streams. So if you want to support the channel, helping me upgrade the equipment, giving you a better viewing experience and a better listening experience, doing live streams and videos, you can go down and find links for all that good stuff in the description below. So thanks a lot for watching, guys, and until next time, I will see you guys in space.